All right. Good morning. It is currently 3:08, 3:09 a.m. and it is Sunday. All right. Sunday. Good morning. It is the 8th of June, 2025. How are you doing this beautiful day? How are you guys doing? It's been probably 2 days? It's been probably 2 days. Yep. But we're back. We are back. What in the world is going on in California? Now, somebody has to tell me what in the world. If you live in California today, Los Angeles, okay, to be precise, what in the world is going on in Los Angeles? City of Dreams, what is going on? What is going on? Welcome to the live show. We are back. It is your boy Genesis. Good morning. Good morning. Now, with that being said, today we're going to be checking out Los Angeles, the situation in Los Angeles, and why is this happening in Los Angeles? Of course, we know Los Angeles is definitely a blue state. It's probably going to be the blue state for a long time. Some people say it might turn red, but I doubt it. Maybe in the next 8 years, maybe, just maybe. But for now, it is the blue state, and ICE is definitely doing their job, which is deporting illegal migrants. And in California, there are some illegal migrants, people who have overstayed their visas, or people who crossed into the United States illegally. And of course, the president, the 45th, now the 47th president of the United States, campaigned based on deporting illegal alien. All right. Now, with that being said, there is protest going on in Los Angeles, and some people are, of course, being bad actors, bad actors, and they're getting physical. All right, you can see on the screen smoke and things that are not supposed to be happening. But we're gonna check it out right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the live show. It is your boy Genesis. Double tap your screen to give this video a like. Subscribe to the channel, because this is what we do. We love the United States. It doesn't matter if you're liberal or conservative. Doesn't matter. Even if you don't care about politics, it doesn't matter. What matters is on here, on this platform, it is free speech. Say what you want to say. Be respectful, of course, because of the YouTube algorithm. Be respectful. But it is, for the most part, free speech. Here we go. CNN. Here we go.
When crowds gathered around federal law enforcement officers carrying out immigration raids in that area. And today, right now, we're seeing police using tear gas and flashbangs to clear the crowds. California Assemblymember Jose Luis Salache, who witnessed what was unfolding there, is joining us now on the phone. Assemblyman, thank you so much for being here with us. I know you represent the area, Paramount, where we've been seeing some of this happen. Explain to us, describe to us what you saw today.
Correct. I've been here since 9 a.m. When we first saw the agents drive up to my community, I was actually on the freeway with one of the vans from Border Patrol. And then I did a U-turn type of situation. I followed them, and they were here in my community. There were 7 agents waiting to open their fence. Throughout the morning, there's about 60 different vehicles that have driven in there. 25 of them plus are Border Patrol logo vehicles, and then about 30 plus vehicles were unmarked vehicles, SUVs. And right now, I'm here with my community. There's about 60 Border Patrol agents They're there with guns. They're there, they're having a staging process. Of course, communities out here strong, opposing these raids in our community in Los Angeles. I represent this district, and our community is strongly here opposing this.
And we are looking at live video while
Opposing
you're
what,
talking.
Joe?
I see a lot of smoke.
What are you opposing?
There were some small fires, it looked like, in the distance from where we're looking at on this video. We can see people who appear to be gathered together, and we're seeing some sort of agents as well. We had a spokesperson from DHS saying that that these protesters were in a sense violent, that's what they're trying to push back against. Has that been your experience?
There's definitely a variety of demonstrators. I have to be objective here, and there's some people that are, of course, are angry, they're passionate about why the agents are here. And you have a variety of folks that obviously are here peacefully, and there are people who are a little more aggressive, and that's just being objective. But of course, community is upset of why they're even here in our community.
Right.
And I represent a very high immigrant, high undocumented community in my district, which we're proud of the work that we all contribute to this country. These are not criminals. These are people that are hardworking people that are contributing. And, of course, that's what people are angry about. You're going to come and you're doing raids and looking for people that are at their workplace, at contributing to this country, and they're not criminals. So that's what people are upset about, including myself.
And it's 2:02 there, Los Angeles time, where you are. How long do you expect this to go on? Does it appear that this is going to continue?
I've made my own calls to, of course, the governor's office, to folks that we need to de-escalate this. They need to send these people home so that our community can go home and stop this. And we need to de-escalate the situation because people are upset. I don't know how long it's going to be here. I came here since 9 a.m. myself with community, and they've been standing their stage there. And we've seen throughout the morning different vehicles leaving the facility. And so we have a feeling that they're doing raids throughout the Los Angeles area.
And we have word now that the FBI is investigating what's going on. Have you seen any FBI agents or anyone like that where you are?
Not as of now. Again, I've seen Border Patrol vests and uniforms that they're wearing, the agents, with gas. And of course, they've been gassing people as they get close to them. Anytime that vehicles leave the facility or the parking lot, they throw they're gassing people so they can move away from the area, and so these vehicles leave the premises.
And
but I have not seen anyone from the FBI here yet.
Yeah. How often would you say you're hearing these flashbangs or seeing this tear gas deployed?
It's been throughout the morning, to be honest with you. I actually was close to them, just monitoring the situation. I was affected myself earlier because they were shooting toward the area where I was standing. Of course, I ran through that, and it was the first time I ever got gas in my eyes, and of course, the coughing. So it's my first time experiencing it. It's not a good feeling.
There we go.
And have you seen anyone be detained or arrested?
We did see about 4 people that were arrested that were demonstrators. They were on this side of the fence demonstrating. Again, I can't justify why they were being detained, but obviously they were demonstrating against the agents being here physically in our community.
Yeah. And again, just to underscore what you were saying, it sounds like, based on your description, that the demonstrators that are gathering range in peaceful demonstrators to some who are being more aggressive, who are physically pushing back.
They've been upset. I've seen that they get closer to the agents, of course, right? So, of course, the agents are doing their part to show their part, right? But people are demonstrating, and there's a lot of peaceful demonstration, but there are people that obviously are just upset, and they're showing their anger through that. I have encouraged people through my social media to please be peaceful as they're demonstrating. Do not use violence. That's not what we want to do. We don't want to add to their narrative. We want to make sure that people are demonstrating. We live in a democratic process where people can express their feelings and how they're feeling, but of course do it in a peaceful manner.
Yeah. And just again, to underscore, as we're talking to you, we're looking at live video. And look, there's a lot of law enforcement there. Just the posture that we're seeing from law enforcement in your neighborhood. This is a big response, it seems.
Yes, we definitely don't have any local authorities because we don't engage with supporting any of ISIS strategies that they do. So we don't have any local or state agencies collaborating with them. They're working on their own at their own merit at this point.
All right,
federal agents.
Yeah, Assemblyman Salachi, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for reporting this. And we have to make sure we, keep the community safe.
Protests boiling over for a second day in the streets of Los Angeles amid the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. CNN correspondent Julia Vargas Jones joining us now from Los Angeles with the very latest. Julia, what's unfolding right now?
Well, these operations are still ongoing in Paramount, California. That's just south of Los Angeles. Jessica, take a listen to what is going on just now. Now, a woman who took another video of this same scene near the Home Depot there, she said that she could smell the tear gas in the air, that federal officers had come to this Home Depot where generally people gather to offer services, and that it was unclear if anyone was arrested. But we did see a response there from the community trying to impede those officers from carrying out this raid. We did hear from the Department of Homeland Security just moments ago a statement from them saying that, quote, the violent targeting of law enforcement in Los Angeles by lawless rioters is despicable, and Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom must call for it to end. The men and women of ICE put their lives on the line to protect and defend the lives of American citizens. Again, just now we're receiving this, Jessica. This is as we're going into day 2 of these kinds of clashes. Yesterday, raids took place in downtown Los Angeles, at least 3 different locations. One of them, another Home Depot, and the other one was in the Fashion District at a business that was allegedly using fictitious documents for some of their workers, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. So we have that going on yesterday and today. And then as the news continued to spread yesterday of these raids, that's when we see protests swelling in downtown Los Angeles, part of the city being paralyzed by these protests as the community was coming together to say that they oppose these kinds of targeted raids and that they were indiscriminate. They were angered by this. Frankly, Los Angeles, a city that has so many immigrants, about 10 million undocumented immigrants in California. A third of them are here in Los Angeles County. So this kind of reaction is to be expected.
Yeah, this is a developing story, Julia. We'll continue to keep an eye on it as things continue to escalate there in Los Angeles. We will certainly keep an eye out for any more developments. Julia Vargas Jones, thanks so much.
How is this even allowed? How is this allowed? What in the world is going on? Newska, gotta talk.
We have breaking news now. You are seeing protests erupting in the Los Angeles area tonight as law enforcement squares off with crowds protesting immigration raids in the city. For 2 days in a row, the LAPD has
You're waving, who knows what flag that is in America. Okay.
used flashbangs and tear gas to clear demonstrators. The Trump administration is deploying 2,000 National Guardsmen, a move California's governor called inflammatory. And the FBI says it will investigate protesters for interfering with federal agents. Let's get to CNN's Julia Vargas Jones now, who's with protesters who've gathered in downtown Los Angeles. And Julia, what have you seen so far?
Hi, Brian. Look, we are here outside the federal building in downtown Los Angeles, where protesters are saying, they don't want ICE in Los Angeles. They're chanting out with ICE, release the people that have been arrested. There are about 118 people that were arrested, according to the Department of Homeland Security, in the several actions that took place in Los Angeles this week. Some of them here in downtown Los Angeles, 3 of them on Friday, and then again today in about an hour south of downtown Los Angeles in the town of Paramount. That is where we saw some quite stunning video of protesters, community members stepping in and kind of stepping in the way of federal immigration officers as they were staging for a potential raid there. Brian, we are also hearing the calls for the release of, you can hear it from David Huerta, a prominent activist and union leader here in Los Angeles that was arrested as part of these raids. The National Guard, we are expecting the National Guard to arrive in Los Angeles soon after President Trump authorized about 2,000 of them to come in. Now, we also did hear from Governor Gavin Newsom his statement saying that he thinks that this will only fan the flames of these protests, which right now are quite small, even though these images I know are striking. Not sure if we have those right now, but earlier today in Compton, just near Paramount, where these ICE presence was known earlier today, we saw a car set on fire. We could see protesters with Mexican flags setting that car on fire. That's, again, just an hour south of where we are. Just to give you that sense of how dispersed these actions are and how they are targeted, these specific locations where ICE raids are, or here where this detention center is, where some of the people that have been picked up in these raids have been brought to, Brian.
All right, Julia Vargas Jones, I want you to stay with me. I also want to bring in now CNN senior national security analyst Julia Kayyem. Julia, if you're with me, you just heard Julia there describing the scene, but from the images that we've been putting on our air so far, what stands out to you at the moment?
So there's unrest. Let's start with there's protest. Lawful protest, which is allowed in this country. There is some unrest, generally dealt with by local law enforcement, and if there needs to be state support through state police, and sometimes even National Guard under a governor's authority. What is happening tonight is unprecedented in a variety of ways. Generally, when the National Guard is federalized to be deployed into a state, so understanding that it's called Title X federalization, and it means that the National Guard goes from reporting to the governor to reporting to the President of the United States. Generally, historically, when that's done, there's only two instances. One is when a state is overwhelmed. And so think Hurricane Katrina. I just looked up the numbers. In Hurricane Katrina, about 7,000 National Guard were federalized. So under just the comparison to 2,000 for a couple of hundred protesters, you can just get a sense of the sort of reaction that the Trump White House is having. The second type of instance where you would see a president ignore a governor's wishes is if the governor defies a court order. So that's Little Rock, the civil rights cases in which the president federalized the National Guard to allow to support the Supreme Court's decision. Modern history hasn't seen something like this, and I think that's why Gavin Newsom and certainly our reporting from Josh Campbell regarding the concerns even in local law enforcement is now there's this federal overlay that is hostile to the sort of the way it generally works. And there's no training. We don't know what their rules of engagement are. We don't know why 2,000 have to be deployed. I'm looking at the pictures. I'm not minimizing civil unrest. Violence should not be used. It's against the law to disrupt a federal law enforcement action. But we have tools to do with this that are far less, let's just say, caustic than what Donald Trump has decided to do tonight. And I just want to put that in historical perspective. Some of our viewers will think that's right, but historically, this is not typical. And the numbers, when you just compare this to Hurricane Katrina, those of us who remember Hurricane Katrina, entire city and court system underwater, you get a sense of why Governor Newsom and local law enforcement are very concerned about what's about to happen.
I know California leaders had said that this will only inflame the situation. When you think of the historic nature of this, that this hasn't happened where there's been that transfer of power to the president from a governor since Katrina, is there any oversight for that situation in the aftermath to be able to look and say, was this done above bar? Was this legal? What's the situation there?
Well, one historical precedent is the LA riots. That was actually cooperative as well. And the after actions that I know very well, this is my space, this intersection between military, homeland, civilian, is that it was there, but for the grace of God was there not friendly fire. Because, look, our federalized troops are trained to do something, and that something is the use of force. They are not trained to de-escalate a political situation, civil unrest. The language that's being used by the White House, I'm from LA, I'm looking at people running errands. Like, this is not a city that is not able to function. And so the Trump White House has now lowered the bar. And so in terms of operational planning, we don't know how they will be deployed, what the rules of engagement are. Are they working, or are they in conflict with the Los Angeles Police Department? This is a sophisticated department, quite large. And 2,000 troops, again, is a lot. This is a significant number of federalized troops.
What is the problem with this, folks, man? I don't get it. What is the problem with this lady? You want your city to burn to the ground, and you're going to say, look at what Trump cost. Trump cost this. You don't want 2,000 guards to stop your city from burning down, because these folks are ready to burn your city down. They're ready. Yeah, they are. And when the city start burning, everybody's going to point to the White House and say, see what you voted for? This is what you voted for, America. Nope. Make sure nothing happens to anybody in Los Angeles. Make sure you arrest everybody committing crimes, harming people, making this physical. It's okay to protest. You can protest if you want. You can protest if you want all day, anyhow you want. Like, protesting is your right. But when you start causing chaos, impeding ICE agents from doing their jobs, throwing flames at law enforcement officers, you're saying 2,000 guards. 2,000 guards are too much. Man, they need to make it 10,000 guards.
Again, that number of federalized National Guard during Hurricane Katrina, a city that had lost 2,000 people, that could not function. Its courts weren't open. Its prisons weren't open. Its police force was not functional. You only saw the federalization of about 7,000 troops of the National Guard. So this is, and that was at the request of the governor. This is in defiance of a governor's request. So I do think there is a high likelihood that this will engage, incite a conflict. But my equal concern is without a sort of standard a process by which these 2,000 are deployed, rules of engagement, who are they working with, what's their mission? This is a bunch of protests.
What's their mission? What? Did she just say what's their mission? Okay, let me tell you. Their mission is to make sure your city is alive. Okay? It's to make sure the fires, the burning down of whatever they're going to burn down, because this is looking much more like 2020. If this keeps going, you're about to see 2020 all over again. And guess what happens? That's what made Trump lose the election in 2020. Because of these harmful physical situation where people are inciting violence and calling it peaceful protest. This isn't a peaceful protest. Peaceful protest, you go write whatever you want to write. Whatever you want to write, you write it on a board and you stand. You hold your board and you stand and scream whatever how much you want to scream, how loud you want to scream. Hold your board and scream. Not fighting, standing in front of cars when police are doing their job, stopping them from doing what they're supposed to do. This is not protesting.
But we know how to deal with that. I mean, in civilian society. So without editorializing, I just want to give
that's
the
protesting right there.
comparisons.
This lady, this is the only person protesting. This lady right here. This person right here, this is how you protest, okay? I don't care if you say Trump is a fascist, is whatever. Hold your sign and protest like this lady right here. This is the only lady protesting.
This is unprecedented. The numbers are large. The threat does not seem to be one in which the state has fallen apart, the city has fallen apart. If there are criminality, if criminality is ongoing in terms of disrupting a federal law enforcement effort, such as an immigration raid, those people ought to be arrested. But
for real?
This is, I think,
okay. So this looks like United States flags.
Part of an overall reaching by the Trump White House to utilize federal military resources in civilian society without an insurrection, without a major flood, without a major crisis, and in defiance of political leadership there. And we'll see what happens overnight.
Julia Kayyem and Julia Vargas Jones in Los Angeles.
For real? Yeah. Democrats. All right. Tom Homan.
You're looking at live pictures out of Paramount, California, where protesters have been clashing with police all day outside a Home Depot. It is still unconfirmed whether...
If you love your country, your home country so much, if you love your home country so much, what are you doing in the United States? You're waving your flag in front of the ICE facility, waving your flag. So why are you here? Why don't you go back to where you came from? Why are you waving your flag in front of the ICE facility like you would rather be in your country? No, you would rather be here. That's why you're here now, illegally. Okay? So if you want to go back to your country, just go back. Just go right back. If you know that your country is so beautiful, it's so gorgeous, it's so amazing that you love the flag and you're waving the flag in front of the ICE facility, go back home, brody. Go back home. But no, you won't. You won't go back home, but you want to destroy this place that you crossed illegally for.
Immigration officials were conducting an ICE raid, but several ICE vehicles have sustained damages and multiple protesters have now been arrested for an assault on a federal agent. This incident follows a night of riots in Los Angeles following multiple ICE raids in the city. Hi, everyone. I'm Joe Concha, along with Lydia Hu, Alicia Acuna, and Guy Benson. The big story tonight. Tear gas has filled the air as protesters clashed with police last night in Los Angeles. At least 45 people were arrested last night, while DHS says that more than 118 illegals were apprehended this week. The protester tried to storm into an ICE facility last night after being fired upon by radical speakers at a rally. Listen.
Free them all! Free them all! Free them all! Because an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us! And Los Angeles does not back down for that kind of fight!
Continue fighting until we reconstruct every single institution from the ground up so that we can grant full amnesty for all immigrants. Demand...
Did this guy just say... No, wait. Did he just say grant full amnesty to all immigrant? Yeah. There goes the midterms.
Full compensation for all of the victims of this criminal injustice system.
What's going to change this is organizing, and not just any type of organizing, militant organizing.
Incredibly,
did that guy Yeah, that guy, man. Look, come on, man. This is what I support. Trump needs to take decisive, precise action on these types of rhetoric. Because why would you say organized militant action? Isn't that what he said?
Every single institution from the ground up so that we can grant full amnesty for all immigrants. Demand full compensation for all of the victims of this criminal injustice system.
What's going to change this is organizing, and not just any type of organizing, militant organizing.
Incredibly, Mayor Karen Bass is still standing with the protesters, saying she's fighting for all Angelenos regardless of immigration status, and doubling down that L.A. is a city of migrants, leaving out the illegal part. But the people on the side, as Karen Bass, are threatening ICE agents, spray painting death to ICE on dumpsters. Gavin Newsom also weighing in on the riots and blamed them on, get this, President Trump, accusing him of tearing families apart. And this chaos has now spread to New York City today alone as protesters organized in Lower Manhattan.
Blue cities.
Joining us to break down everything in terms of these protests is border czar Tom Homan. Tom, how is ICE responding to these protests? And thanks for joining us tonight.
Look, we're going to continue doing our job. And yesterday, we got 118 arrests. You know, I was out here yesterday to kick off this operation. And what people aren't talking about is ICE served, several warrants yesterday. These were criminal warrants. This is a criminal investigation. And today, we're continuing operations. They're not going to shut us down. We're out there right now doing operations. We're going to keep doing operations. We brought in more resources to push back the protesters, but I'll say it again, a serious warning. You can protest all you want. You got your First Amendment rights. But if you cross that line of impediment, or you're putting hands on officers, or destroy property, you will be prosecuted. There's zero tolerance on crossing that lines, and that's what we're standing by. We're bringing more resources as we speak. We'll have more resources tonight. We're going to continue doing the job that American people voted Donald Trump in office to do, and we're not going to apologize for doing it.
Tom, it's Alicia Acuna. Again, thank you so much for being here. During the protest yesterday, a Los Angeles City Council member called for mobilization against ICE. Listen.
They know how quickly we mobilize. That's why they're changing tactics. Because community defense works and our resistance has slowed them down before. And if they're escalating their tactics, then so are we. When they show up, we gotta show up even stronger.
So, Tom, will the Trump administration take action against these public officials who are threatening ICE agents with resistance?
Absolutely. And I think Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice are looking at that. And, like I said many times, these elected officials or these non-government organizations, they can't cross the line either. I mean, we got people like, Hakeem Jeffries saying he's going to dox ICE employees. ICE agents out there with masks on. They're wearing masks to protect themselves and their families because they've been doxxed, their families been doxxed, their life's been threatened, their families have been threatened. I know myself, I had over 1,000 protesters at my house. I expect that as the borders are, but these men and women are putting their lives on line every day. They arrested a lot of bad people yesterday and today. They arrested child sex offenders. They arrested people convicted of robbery. They arrested public safety, not only significant public safety threats, but national security threats. They arrested gang members. We're making Los Angeles safer. And Mayor Bass ought to be thanking us for making her city safer. And the term migrant, as Joe Concha rightfully said earlier, they're illegal aliens. There are illegal aliens in this country, and we welcome. We're the most giving country in the world. But these are illegal aliens who committed a crime by crossing this border illegally, then yet committed another crime. Again, yesterday's about a criminal investigation into money laundering, tax evasion, and some of the funds going to cartels in Mexico and Colombia that fund their operations of sending narcotics to this country, killing American people. This is about enforcing the law, and again, we're not going to apologize for doing it. We're stepping up. She says they're going to mobilize. Well, guess what? We're already ahead of the game. We're already mobilizing. We're going to bring National Guard in tonight. We're going to continue doing our job. We're going to push back on these people, and we're going to enforce the law.
Tom, it's Lydia Hu, and I want to ask you a little bit more about these Democrat demands that ICE agents be unmasked. Some Democrats are saying that if they don't unmask, they're threatening to dox them. Listen to this.
I don't know of any police department that routinely wears masks. We know that there are other groups that routinely wear masks. NSC 131 routinely wears masks.
Sending masked men to snatch, kidnap, and disappear immigrants of all legal statuses across the country.
Every single one of them, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified.
Tom, I wonder if you can speak to that a little bit. Explain to us more, help everyone understand the threat that our ICE agents are facing by just doing their job, why they need to wear these masks, and also what actions need to be taken against Democrats who are demanding that they be unmasked, and what would happen if they do dox them and at least publish their identities.
Look, it's incredible. We're at a place where the guys, the men and women who enforce law, they're the bad guys, and the ones who break the law are the victims. You kidding me? How come they didn't say anything about BLM? They're out there. They were a mask. How about the protesters, all the college campuses? They were protesting against Israel and the Jewish students. They were wearing masks. I didn't hear a word about that for these protesters wearing masks. But ICE agents are wearing masks for one reason, because the assault on ICE officers is up over 400%. The assault on ICE officers. They're being doxxed across the country. And their families are being attacked. Their families are being doxxed. Their families are being threatened. And I certainly understand it. I have a lot of death threats. I've been doxxed. My family's been doxxed. I understand it. But they're wearing masks for one reason only: protect themselves and their families. They're doing a dangerous job. This is already a dangerous job. They got to wear a gun. They got to wear a Kevlar vest every day because they're doing a dangerous job every day. While the rest of these people, like Hakeem Jeffries, is sleeping in his bed at night at 3 a.m., nice and comfortably and safe, there's men and women of ICE on the street doing surveillance on significant public safety threats. Really bad characters and national security threats. They're taking it on every day. The men and women of Border Patrol standing on a dirt trail every night, 3 a.m., taking on the bad guy. So this is another threat against ICE agents, and we're asking the Department of Justice to look at these statements and see if there's something we can do. When do you cross that line on threatening ICE officers? And here's the problem. You got all these people now attacking ICE. You saw they're writing death to ICE agents. ICE agents been threatened. Their families been threatened. And you got members of Congress. You got some judges out there that compare ICE to the KKK, ICE to the Nazis. You got city council people saying ICE are terrorists. They're feeding the hatred. And here's my concern. I've been doing this for a long time. It's a matter of time before ICE takes a life or an ICE agent loses their life, because the rhetoric is at an all-time high and is being fed by people who should be more responsible, elected officials especially, who keep firing up this rhetoric. I'm telling you, it's coming. There's going to be a tragedy because they keep...
I'll say it again on audio, okay? If the commander-in-chief, all right, the OG, who I voted for, the 45th, now the 47th president of the United States, if he allows California, Los Angeles, to be precise, to go up in flames like Tampon Team City went up in flames in 2020, I will blame him, because this has been Democrats' plan from the gate. From the gate, deploy guards, which he has, deploy whatever you have to deploy to maintain peace and order, to maintain law and order. That's why we voted for you. Okay? I don't care if Mayor Karen Bass or Newsom says we don't need it, just like they said they didn't need it on January 6th. Remember? Trump said he wanted to give them the National Guard, and Nancy Pelosi said no. Guess what? It was on the news for 4 years. That's the same thing that's going to happen if real, concrete decision isn't made, and if law and order isn't put in place immediately. If this lingers for a week, just know the next 3 years, that's what we're going to be watching on live TV.
Throwing gas on this flame.
Tom, it's Guy Benson. Good of you to be with us this evening. The U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi just announced yesterday that Kilmar Abrego Garcia, another now familiar name in this whole wider drama, has actually been brought back to the United States after being deported to El Salvador. Here she is detailing his alleged crimes.
Garcia has played a significant role in an alien smuggling ring. They found this was his full-time job, not a contractor. Thousands of illegal aliens were smuggled. This defendant trafficked firearms and narcotics throughout our country.
And Tom, in spite of these details, some Democrats are still on the bandwagon here, it seems. Watch this.
The Trump administration and all his cronies who should apologize to the country for putting us through this unnecessary situation, and to Abrego Garcia for putting him through this situation.
Otherwise, he has a status which is withhold deportation.
Now they're trying to act like he's some kind of drug lord or, human trafficker.
So, Tom, I posted this image on X yesterday showing how some in the liberal media just insist on calling him the Maryland man or the Maryland father. There's a big exception there on your screen, which is Fox News. And as you just heard in that montage, Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland, the biggest cheerleader for this man in Congress, went on national television, if CNN qualifies, and said that the president of the United States should apologize to Kilmar Abrego Garcia. What's your reaction to that?
Van Hollen's an embarrassment to the halls of Congress. He went over and coddled an MS-13 gang member, a designated terrorist, a wife beater, and a public safety threat. And as we continue to do the investigation, now he's a human trafficker who trafficked not just guns and weapons, but people, trafficking of women and children. So he's going to pay. We're going to prosecute him. So we're bringing him back here to prosecute him. We're bringing him back here to put him in prison. Then when he's done in prison, guess what? He'll be deported immediately again. Did any of these people ever meet with Angel, mom and dad? Van Hollen had a young mother with 5 children murdered by an illegal alien. Did he ever meet with them? Did he ever meet with the victims, the hundreds of victims of illegal alien crime? No. He's an embarrassment to halls of Congress. He's an embarrassment to the position he holds. President Trump don't owe anybody an apology. President Trump in 7 weeks gave us the most secure border in the history of this nation. President Trump is arresting thousands of public safety threats in this country every day. President Trump is making this country safe again, one illegal alien criminal at a time. And like I said, despite what's going on in LA, I'm here now. We're continuing operations today. We're going to do this job every single day. We won't be stopped. President Trump is a game changer. I worked for 6 presidents starting with Ronald Reagan. When it comes to national security, border security, immigration enforcement, public safety, no one has done better than President Trump. His success is unprecedented, not only on the border, but in taking national security threats and illegal alien public safety threats out of this nation. I wake up every day proud to work for President Trump, and we're going to keep doing the job that he promised American.
And that's why I voted. This is why I voted for Trump. Okay? People call me all different types of names. I get it. Okay? I am an immigrant. Okay? You can hear from the way I speak. I am immigrant. But guess what? I came here legally. I went through Homeland Security. I went through USCIS. I had to study. It took me 5 to 6 years to become a United States citizen. Now, you can hate me for it, okay, but I am a United States citizen. The fact is, if you cross the border illegally, and then you come in here crying for due process, why didn't you follow the due process to come into the United States? Why? Now I get it. Not everybody are bad actors. I get it. Some people are just here for a better life because things are truly, unspeakably hard in these other countries. I know it. I know it for a fact. Not everybody is dangerous. Not everybody is whatever, terrorist, MS-13 or whatever. Not everybody. Some people are just here to build homes, build American homes, walk in the farm, do their jobs. They just want to feed their families. I get it. But if you came into the country illegally, if your first step, your first act into the United States is illegally crossing the border, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. You can't be asking for due process because you didn't even follow the due process to come in the first place. So, my conclusion is back to the commander-in-chief. He has complete power to stop this. And of course, he has to use discernment. He has to use his own discernment because you don't want to go too crazy and then people start going wild. But you have to keep law and order. That's it.
People he would do, and the American people voted for him to do. We're going to keep his promise to American people, no apologies.
And the numbers prove that.
Man, shout out to Tom Homan, man.
Right now, put out by Newsom and Karen Bass is absolutely. The President of the United States was awake last night, concerned about our law enforcement officers. Pete Hegseth was involved. Everybody was there. What can we do to bring peace? What can we do to bring stability? What do we do when we have guys like Hakeem Jeffries standing up in front of the world and saying it's okay to write kill ICE, it's okay to throw things at law enforcement officers, it's okay to do that? That's not okay. Not in America. We have rules. We have laws. When people are murderers and rapists, they have consequences, and we are going to make sure that they face consequences. But those statements put out by Newsom and Karen Bass is absolutely ridiculous because what we need is action right now. I mean, be people that are leaders for once. And let's not go back to 2020 when they were burning down the city of Minneapolis and you had people like Tim Walz encouraging it. I mean, this has been going on now by Democrat politicians for years, and that's why Donald Trump is in the White House. He's the only guy who fights for every single American. And I'm so proud to work for him. I can't believe it. I can't believe that these dummies in the Democrat Party are still around and getting elected.
Secretary Noem, you talk about consequences. One of the folks involved here was labor union leader David Huerta. Is he going to go to jail? And what kind of penalties could we expect to see for him? And is this the opportunity to send a statement to so-called leaders about what they do with respect to the actual rule of law?
You know, I don't know what the prosecution will be like because obviously we've got judges out there that are weaponizing the judicial system as well. But yes, I believe that we will press charges against everybody that has broken a law last night, and we should do that, and we'll continue to do our ICE operations. We'll continue to make sure everybody in this country has the law equally applied to them. And these leaders, I don't think we need to make examples out of them. I think we need to make examples out of criminals. And if the leaders are criminals, then they need to face the consequences too. That's just the way this country works, and that's how freedom works. Freedom works when everybody has justice applied equally to them.
So speaking of enforcing the law, Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been returned to the United States to face criminal charges for trafficking illegal immigrants into the U.S. after Democrats hailed him as a hero. You know, it really is kind of amazing when you look at those images that we're watching from L.A. And then you think about this guy who has now been charged with human trafficking involving, including children. I can't help but look at all of it through the lens of politics. It's so bad I don't know how Democrats, how they get out of this situation where they're defending this lawlessness and in particular defending a guy who has been charged with human trafficking of children.
It wasn't that he just did it. It's that a grand jury said it was his full-time job.
Yeah.
The guy spent his life trafficking people and children and selling them into slavery. So he's back. He's getting prosecuted. Then he'll be returning back to El Salvador. But the fact that we had Democrat politicians and Van Hollen down there defending him and standing beside him, buying him margaritas, when this guy trafficked children for a living and did it as his full-time job, is just, it shouldn't be shocking. It still is shocking to me that we have people like this that go so far out on a limb just to be a big frickin' deal in a political arena where they think that actually works. It doesn't work. It's not going to work anymore. The American people are sick of it.
But, Secretary, you look at that, you look at the defense of this guy, even going to El Salvador, a couple of politicians. Why? Why are they doubling down on protecting this illegal immigrant involved with so many horrific things? Why?
Who knows, man?
I had this conversation with Van Hollen in committee, and he couldn't defend himself. He couldn't defend himself. He kept saying, oh, you didn't give him judicial process. You didn't give him the right to have due process. Absolutely, we did. And you went down there anyways and went down there and stood beside someone who's a wife beater, a human trafficker, and said that you support that guy. I said, when's the last time you did that for one of your constituents, one of the people who live in your state and actually need your help? When's the last time you fought that hard for those individuals? Instead, because you thought it was political and it would work for you, you went and stood by a criminal, a guy who has abused children his entire life. So the more we educate the American public on what these Democrats are doing, the more they realize they've just abandoned this country. Last night they were burning American flags in the streets in L.A., and the leaders in L.A. let that happen. They were taking American flags and lighting them on fire. Those are not people who love America and people who want justice for everybody. Those are people who are trying to perpetuate violence to promote an agenda. And I saw this in 2020 all across this country where they used fear to control people. And that's what Democrats are doing. They're trying to use fear to control people. And our law enforcement officers, every day when they go to work, they're concerned about losing their lives. And their moms and children and wives are worried about losing their family members. And it's not right. So in fact, we have a president that's in the White House that's going to make sure that this isn't going to go on. Every single person that throws a rock or a bottle where we have jurisdiction, they're going to get arrested. They just are. Every single weapon assault, anytime you write something like kill ICE, you are going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent that we have the ability to do that and bring consequences down.
And they're obviously also trying to slow down, halt deportations. Now, Abrego Garcia, if he's convicted, he'll serve his time and then he'll be deported. Is there any world in which what's happening now on the streets of places like L.A. slows down in any way the deportations that the Trump administration is pursuing?
Well, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to slow us down and scare people and officers from doing their jobs. And they're trying to use the judicial courts, ones that they think are more friendly or activists, to slow us down from being able to do the job that the American people want us to do. We're going to do things right. We're going to run our cases, make sure that everybody is afforded the ability that they have to go through a legal process, but we're going to get them out of this country because Joe Biden allowed an invasion to happen of dangerous criminals, and the laws in this country matter. All we are doing is enforcing the law. If these protesters want the laws to change, go talk to your senator, go talk to your congressman, because we are following the law. If you want the law to change, go talk to Congress, and they should change the law. Don't be throwing rocks and bottles and attacking and punching officers that are just upholding the laws that are in this country and have been here for years.
That's well said. That's how democracy actually works as opposed to a tyranny. Secretary Noem, thanks for being with us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Great to talk to you this morning.
Shout out to Kristi Noem. Yes.
Let's bring in National Border Patrol Council President Paul Perez. Paul, it's a somewhat different agency, ICE, but what do you think of the notion of unmasking ICE agents as they are trying to make apprehensions?
I think it's ridiculous. Our agents and our officers are out there working together side by side with other federal law enforcement officers, and doxing them or trying to unmask them only puts them and their families at risk. So when they go out and they make ridiculous and statements like they're making in the media, it only serves to embolden those people that wish to do our agents and officers harm. So it's not a good thing for America.
How is morale among your officers right now?
Our agents and our officers they're able to do the job that they signed up to do. Under this president and this administration, we're actually able to go out there and apprehend, detect, deter, and do what we're doing right now in Los Angeles and other cities across the country. We're taking criminals off the streets. We're taking illegal immigrants off the streets. We're doing exactly what President Trump said we were going to be able to do when he was on the campaign trail. Well, it should be no surprise.
As you know, a number of political leaders, including Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, is criticizing what's going on, this crackdown on illegal immigration. How would you answer the mayor?
I would tell the mayor, look, for the 4 years under the Biden administration, your side of the aisle allowed and encouraged and facilitated millions of undocumented illegal immigrants to come in unvetted, many of who have committed crimes and are continuing to commit crimes. And we're going to do everything we need to do to protect the citizens of this country because that's what President Trump was elected to do.
And in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, for instance, the man deported from Maryland, he's now facing criminal charges in Tennessee. What do you make of how the system, how the case has turned, I guess?
So the indictment against Kilmar Abrego Garcia is one that was built because of all the actions that he took while he was free, and he's going to be convicted. There is no scenario in which Kilmar Abrego Garcia walks around the United States as a free man. He's an illegal immigrant. He's a criminal. He's a human trafficker, and he's going to be held accountable. So this indictment only goes to show how dangerous of a person that he is. The fact that we brought him back from El Salvador, he's not going to be released into this country. He's going to be held accountable for his actions, and he's going to be deported back to El Salvador once it's all said and done.
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen famously went down to El Salvador to visit him when he was sort of in detention down there. Would you expect the senator to go visit him in prison in Tennessee?
It wouldn't surprise me. It would be another disgusting act by anybody that's trying to hold him on this pedestal. He's a wife beater. He's a criminal. He's a trafficker. He should not be in this country. He should have never been in this country. And anybody that supports him, that thinks he's a good guy, I think it's disgusting.
Well, but why does his case in particular engender so much sympathy, do you think?
It's Trump derangement syndrome. It's anything they can hold on to try and make Trump look like he's the bad guy when he's trying to secure the border. He's trying to protect this country. He's trying to protect citizens from people like Abrego Garcia.
Do you think those efforts ultimately will succeed? The increasing border security, the numbers of apprehensions at the border kind of tell the story, it seems.
100%. We're able to do the job that we wanted to do. So yes, all we needed was the support and the policies, and that's exactly what President Trump brought. So yeah, it's going to succeed. We're going to have a very, very strong and secure border.
So when he said in that address to Congress that you didn't need new laws, you just needed a new president, it sounds like you agree with that.
100%.
Paul Perez.
Yes, I support the president. Okay,
It's fight night
Elon
in New Jersey.
Musk
President
and Donald Trump, the commander-in-chief. Like I said the other day, I support both of them. I think Elon Musk has been a force for good generally. However, the people voted for the president, who is Donald Trump, not Elon Musk. Of course, he has his platform to speak his mind. But if you noticed when he was going nuclear on the president of the United States, the stocks went down. And I said that. I said it was going to go down. If he kept going, it would have been $150 by now. but he stopped. Now he's not tweeting. He's not on X going bonkers. After the day that he lost 14% on Tesla, guess what? He's been cool, calm, and collected. You are not the president, Elon. We respect you. We love you. We think you're extremely smart. What you're doing is incredibly amazing, but you're not the president. You're not the 47th president of the United States. The 47th is Donald Trump. And you would find out because some people think Elon helped Trump win the election. No. Where was Elon in 2016? With the Democrats. Okay. I respect Elon. I love Elon. But come on, man. He had to cool. He had to pull it off because I'm sure shareholders were like, don't do it. Do not do it. Because you cannot. It is hard to go head to head with Trump. Even if he had $1 trillion, even if Elon Musk's net worth was $1 trillion, it's still not going to be possible to win someone like Donald Trump. This man is like an immovable force. It's what Trump is. You cannot move him. I don't care how much you have. He's been tested and tried, and he's still standing. Okay? He went to UFC. Normally, you would think people would support Elon Musk over Trump. It's only online you see people supporting Elon over Trump. In real life, there ain't nobody saying Elon is right.
Trump is on his way to Prudential Center for UFC 316, but the commander-in-chief is in a brawl of his own, remember? He's been clashing with Elon Musk over the big, beautiful bill. Musk will be absent from tonight's event despite being by Trump's side when the president previously took over Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden was packed.
The whole event was nothing but energized. The place lit up based upon the people there. Everyone was there. It was a microcosm of the United States.
People were just enthralled at the enthusiasm.
Okay, so at last check, Elon seems open to making up with the president, while Trump isn't in.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Elon tagged along with Trump. Elon gained supporters working with Trump. Working with Trump, Elon gained supporters. Campaigning with Trump, Elon gained supporters. And that's just the truth. Look, it is what it is. Elon gained supporters rolling with Trump. It's just what it is. Okay? It is just what it is.
Interested in speaking to the Doge father just yet, but Trump's message to Musk might sound encouraging.
What's your view on Elon Musk as of today? I mean, have you heard from him at all?
Honestly, I've been so busy working on China, working on Russia, working on Iran, working on so many things. I'm not thinking about Elon. I just wish him well.
And Elon isn't the only one holding up the big, beautiful bill. Congress is working to get the legislation on President Trump's desk by Independence Day. Speaker Mike Johnson is stressing the need to get this bill over the finish line.
Look, I agree with our friend Elon. We need to cut more spending, but you can't do it all overnight. So this is the first in a series of things that we are going to do. It starts with the big, beautiful bill. We've got our hand to the wheel. We're going to get this job done.
Lucas Tomlinson is live in Bridgewater, New Jersey with the latest. Hi, Lucas.
Good evening, Alicia. And just a few hours ago, Elon Musk posting something rather cryptically on his social media platform X. I'll read it for you. It says, quote, "Most entertaining outcome is most likely." We don't think he was referring to the Belmont Stakes or the UFC fight. It was just over a week ago that Trump presented Musk with this golden key to the White House and that great send-off from the Oval Office.
Shoot. I am on X right now, and everything Elon said about Trump is gone. Wait. What? Everything bad that Elon said about Trump is gone. Come on, Elon, where are your balls? Elon, where are your balls, bro? I thought you were going to fight till the end. Man, you done messed up. What? I thought it was good. Yeah, Trump is the GOAT.
In an interview with NBC, Trump warning Musk of, quote, serious...
Shout out to the GOAT. I'm telling y'all, the GOAT. I know I come up here, but the GOAT is Dr. Luke. Don't worry, Jill Biden. Wait, Dr. Jill Biden gave him that title. Okay, the GOAT, Dr. Luke, said, "Genesis, you are the man. We defeated liberal media together. All of us get a great big shout out. Shout out to Dr. Luke. God bless you, man. Here we go.
Consequences if he donates to Democrats. Trump also told reporters aboard Air Force One he's not interested in repairing the relationship.
To bring you and Elon back together, so those efforts are.
This is
where
the
are
GOAT.
they?
This is the GOAT.
Asked about it.
This is the GOAT.
I'm not really interested in that. I'm really interested in the country and solving problems, including war
now
problems
go kiss
in
the ring.
very faraway lands.
Trump and Musk supporter Bill Ackman posting, "I support Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and they should make peace for the benefit of our great country. We are much stronger together than apart." To which Musk replied, as you can see there, "You're not wrong." And ahead of the Army's 250th birthday next weekend, the Army is shipping Abrams tanks, Bradley fighting vehicles, Strykers, and howitzers to the nation's capital. They just started arriving, as you can see here, from the Army's 1st Cavalry Division based at Fort Cavazos, formerly known as Fort Hood in Texas. And President Trump, after he attends tonight's fights at the Prudential Center nearby Newark, tomorrow he's taking top aides to Camp David, where he's going to huddle with them tomorrow afternoon. Alicia?
Busy weekend. Lucas Tomlinson, good to see you. Thank you. While President Trump and Elon Musk continue to brawl over the big, beautiful bill, they still have the same goal in mind: to cut federal spending. They just don't agree on how to do it, but there's hope that this dust-up will be over soon. Remember how close they were on the campaign trail.
No, it's game over. This election goes somewhere. Game over. Hi. How do you do? Nice to see you.
Working with Elon on efficiency, saving a lot of money and making our country stronger and better. And he happens to be a really good guy. Elon Musk. Elon.
I think this is going to be the most transformative presidency perhaps since the founding of the country.
Okay, so Guy, if we take away the entertainment value that so many people have found, they've thought it was distracting for their night. They had to cancel their plans. They're joking like that. That all aside, what impact do you think this has, if any, on what the Senate is trying to accomplish right now?
Hopefully none, because the fact remains that if some version of this bill doesn't get passed, there's an automatic, gigantic tax increase looming across the board for American families and American businesses. And that's coming at the end of the year. That cannot happen. After 4 years of inflation and Joe Biden slamming families and small businesses with tax hikes, it's just not, failure is not an option for the Republicans who control Washington, at least nominally. And I think members of Congress on the Republican side need to stay focused on that. I was interested to see President Trump sort of offering this warning that there would be, quote, very serious consequences if Musk started funding the Democrats. Is that a realistic threat at this point? Because if Elon Musk's beef here is that there's not enough spending cuts overall, and I actually agree with that, you're going to start bankrolling the party that wants no part of any cut ever and wants to explode spending even further. That wouldn't make sense unless this has gotten so petty and so personal that policy and issues don't matter. I hope very much that is not the case.
Yeah, Lydia, Guy brings up a really good point, that threat that hanging over Elon Musk. How realistic is this threat?
I don't know how realistic it is, but I think the threat reveals to us maybe what Donald Trump thinks of Elon Musk, which is that maybe Elon Musk was just in this, that some people thought for himself, his own personal gain all along. Part of what Elon Musk is frustrated about is the fact that Trump is getting rid of the EV tax incentives, and that's not helpful to Elon Musk. It's kind of calling out Elon Musk. Democrats say that they want these EV tax incentives. So if Elon Musk is going to get back in bed with the Democrats and get back on their side, that only helps him. Look, I think that this is a good time for them to part ways. A good time for them to part ways. I think it's just a matter of how they do it and how they move forward. To your point, Alicia, just to save, this big, beautiful bill and make sure that we're able to get it passed, they should probably patch up and send an olive branch to make sure that there's no more damage done.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely keep watching.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to support.
Trump is the GOAT. Trump is the GOAT. All right, here we go. The legend, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Life, Liberty, and Levin Saturday. Welcome to the program. We have two great guests. We have Governor Ron DeSantis and Victoria Coates, former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump in his first term, and Heritage Foundation National Security Vice President. But before we get to our great guests, I understand Rand Paul, who's been in the Senate now for some time, he says, look, all we're doing is spending ourselves into oblivion. Tom Massey in the House has never seen a budget he likes, and he talks about that too. And, and I have some sympathy for them, but I don't understand them. I don't understand them. In fact, I don't understand members of Congress, many of whom have been there many years, some of them decades. I don't understand them. Why doesn't Congress fix it? Ladies and gentlemen, there have been a handful of us, and over 5 million supporters and activists who've been talking about this for 20 years. That Congress can't fix itself. It's incapable of it. First of all, the Republicans have a bare majority, so they can barely agree on anything. Secondly, the Democrats have never seen a budget that wasn't bloated, out of control, massive debt that they didn't think was too small. So how do you fix this? You really can't. We have elections. They tell us they're going to. They don't. Why? Because they can't. Even this Congress today didn't create the situation that it's in. It took decades of Congresses. And then to blame Donald Trump, look at the spending, look at the taxing, look at the debt. You got people, as I said, who've been in there, they're in their 70s and 80s. They've spent their whole life in Congress. And Donald Trump is going to be a two-term president, and then he's gone, and then the next president comes in. How do we fix this? They don't really tell us how we're going to fix this because they can't. We can. Just like with the federal judges. We're sitting around waiting for the Supreme Court, which probably will cut the baby in half, if not worse. Oh, are they going to fix the lower court judges? No, but we can. How? Well, there's a couple of methods. Number one, elect the right people to the House and the Senate who can control the courts, eliminate some of the courts. That's what the framers intended. But we talked about that already. So what about this massive bloated budget and this debt that's going to suck us in? And everybody really expects Donald Trump to fix this like that? When he doesn't have a Congress that will do it? When the Democrat Party's fighting for the complete opposite? No. The framers were concerned about this. And they told us what to do about this. And I want to remind you, oh, yes. I wrote an entire book on it called The Liberty Amendments. Well, Mark, you write books. I mean, we can't remember. I get it. And then I'm here to remind you. The Constitution gives us the answer to so much about our government, particularly when it's tyrannical, it's out of control. The Constitution itself provides the means for restoring self-government and averting societal catastrophe, or in the case of societal collapse, resurrecting the civil society, or in the case of massive spending and debt that can destroy a society, it can help us with that too. What am I talking about? Your Constitution, Article 5. Article 5. That is a very, very important article. Tell me, when is the last time you heard anybody on TV, other than me, talk about Article 5? When is the last time you heard a member of Congress talk about Article 5? Almost never. Article 5 sets forth the two processes for amending the Constitution. And the second of which I want to emphasize, which has never been used, and yet, importantly, is there. Here's what it says. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to the Constitution, or on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of the Constitution when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as the one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by Congress. The only way the Constitution has been amended so far is you get 2/3 of both houses of Congress. They agree on language. They send it to the states 3/4 of which ratify or don't. That is, the legislatures. But there's the other method. The proposal comes out of the state legislatures. 2/3. And then they have to ratify it by 3/4, just like before. So there can't be a runaway convention because it's the same ultimate ratification number as the first method. The difference is who initiates the amendments. Ladies and gentlemen, do you think Congress is going to propose reforms to reform itself when it won't reform itself? The answer is no. Now let me get into this a little bit more deeply with you, because that's what we do here. Importantly, in neither case does Article 5 amendment process provide for a constitutional convention. It provides for two methods of amending the Constitution. The first method, where 2/3 of Congress passes a proposed amendment and then forwards it to the state legislatures for possible ratification by 3/4 of the states, has occurred on 27 occasions. The second method, involving the direct application of 2/3 of the state legislatures for a convention for proposing amendments, which would thereafter also require 3/4 ratification vote by the states, has been tried in the past but without success. Today, it sits dormant, except for our movement Convention of States, in which quietly, steadily, about, I think, 24 state legislatures, give or take, have approved certain limited amendments that would address the issues that we're debating right now in Washington. But I don't think there's a news reporter or news organization that has said a damn thing about it. The fact is that Article 5 expressly grants state legislatures significant authority to rebalance the constitutional structure for the purpose of restoring our founding principles should the federal government shed its limitations, abandon its original purpose, and grow too powerful, as many delegates in Philadelphia and the state conventions had worried it might. The idea was first presented at the Constitutional Convention on May 29, 1787 by Edmund Randolph, governor of Virginia, as proposed in the so-called Virginia Plan drafted by James Madison. And here was the resolution at the Constitutional Convention from Madison's notes. Resolved that provision ought to be made for the amendment of the Articles of Union whensoever it shall seem necessary, and that the assent of the national legislature ought not be required thereto, the Congress. On June 11, George Mason of Virginia, who had earlier drafted Virginia's Declaration of Rights, the precursor to the Declaration of Independence, one of the great delegates, really under-acknowledged as far as I'm concerned, responded to some of the delegates who did not see the necessity of the proposal by strongly advocating for it. He was the main force behind it. And as Madison's notes reflect, Colonel Mason urged the necessity of such a provision, the plan now to be formed with certainty, be defective, as the Confederation has been found on trial to be. Amendments, therefore, will be necessary.
I gotta say, man, I just gotta say this. The GOAT, Dr. Luke says, Genesis, I have been waiting to reward your dedication and the consistency you give to your fans. God bless you. I got to tell you this, man. Sometimes life happens, okay? And you don't want to stay consistent, but you guys give me the energy to keep going. That's just the truth, okay? You guys give me the energy to keep going. And when I see people like the GOAT supporting the channel, blessing the channel, it's not about the giving. It's more about the words. I mean, saying Genesis, I've been waiting to reward your dedication and the consistency you give to your fans. That means a lot. That means a lot. So before I get emotional, I just wanted to say shout out to the GOAT, Luke. God bless you. Thank you so much. And shout out to the moderators, man. Shout out to the moderators. Shout out to C. Shelley. Absolutely consistent. Shout out to the Bucket Master. So if you need your tears in buckets, reach out to the Bucket Master.
And it will be better to provide for them in any easy, regular, and constitutional way than to trust to chance and violence. We need a way to amend the Constitution. Otherwise, the only way to deal with this will be through violence and so forth. It would be improper to require the consent of the national legislature because they may abuse their power and refuse their consent on that very account. So in other words, this was Mason's argument. He said, wait a minute. If we just rely on Congress to be the initiator of amendments, we're going to have a problem. What if Congress is corrupt? What if they're out of control? What if they spend too much? The state legislatures need to get involved. Later, when the delegates returned to the issue, Roger Sherman of Connecticut, who'd been a member of the Committee of Five, which helped draft the original Declaration of Independence, and who co-authored the so-called Connecticut Plan, which served as the basis for our bicameral Congress, he offered an alternative in which Congress would propose amendments and the states would ratify them. Madison suggested dropping the state convention altogether. So we got the first part of Article 5. Okay, the Congress will make the proposals. Supermajority, 2/3 of both houses, and the same exact language and proposed amendments going to the state legislatures, where they would have to approve 3/4 of them by their legislatures or a convention in the state. But they ignored James Madison's point. On September 15th, right before the end of the Constitutional Convention, just a couple days, George Mason gets up on the floor of the convention, alarmed that Congress would have the sole power to propose amendments, continued to insist on state authority to call for conventions. Mason explained that an oppressive Congress would never agree to proposed amendments, curtailing its own tyranny. Now, what did he say exactly? Madison's notes. Colonel Mason thought the plan of amending the Constitution exceptional and dangerous, as the proposing of amendments is in both the modes to depend, in the first immediately, and in the second ultimately, on Congress. No amendments of the proper kind would ever be obtained by the people. If the government should become oppressive, as he verily believed would be the case. And Gouverneur Morris of Pennsylvania and Elbridge Gerry of Massachusetts moved to amend the article so as to require a convention on application of 2/3 of the states. And so then we got the second part of the amendment process. So Mason basically said, whoa, hold on, boys, we're not shutting down this convention until we get this language in the Constitution. That's how important it was to him. And they agreed to do it. Earlier, Pennsylvania's James Wilson, among the most active participants in the Constitutional Convention, had moved to insert the words 3/4 of before the word several states, which was also adopted and then ultimately added as a requirement for both amendment processes under Article 5. So, under both amendment procedures, the Constitution requires that 3/4 of the states ratify amendments either by their state legislatures or state conventions. And this part, the second part, where we the people have a say through our state legislatures, bottom up rather than top down, has sat dormant. Dormant. And you know what's interesting? Presidents have referred to it. Madison referred to it once. They have referred to it. Eisenhower referred to it. Others referred to it. We even had the Republican leader in the Senate at one point, Dirksen of Illinois, referred to it and recommended it. Milton Friedman, the great late economist, referred to it. Ronald Reagan had referred to it. Now nobody refers to it. All they do is beat their chests. Oh, we should do this and we should do that, and I'm voting no. Do something about it. In Federalist 43, Madison considered both Article 5 amendment processes equally prudent and judicious. He wrote in part that useful alterations will be suggested by experience could not but be foreseen. It was requisite, therefore, that a mode for introducing them should be provided. The mode preferred by the convention seems to be stamped with every mark of propriety. It guards equally against the extreme facility, which would render the Constitution too mutable, and that extreme difficulty, which might perpetuate its discovered faults. It, moreover, equally enables the general and the state governments to originate the amendment of errors as they may be pointed out by the experience on one side or the other. And so it was a great feat to be celebrated, he argued in his Federalist paper, in order to convince the states to ratify the Constitution. You have the power to propose amendments too. But we don't do it. So what can we do? I want to continue to support this Convention of States movement. It is a massive movement. It's the biggest movement in America that's never discussed. It's never reported on, not by conservative media, not by conservative websites. I mean, maybe in passing. But there are millions of activists. And that's how we've got nearly 24, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, state legislatures to already agree to this and to agree to certain provisions. I proposed in Chapter 5 of the book 2 amendments to limit federal spending and taxing. You see, ladies and gentlemen, Congress is not going to limit spending. I don't think that's an unknown reality. Congress is not going to limit borrowing. It's not going to do it. So I said, let's have a spending provision and let's have a taxing provision. They go hand in glove. These are proposals. They're not chiseled in granite. Section 1, Congress shall adopt the preliminary fiscal budget no later than the first Monday in May. It's June now. Why the first Monday in May? Because that's what they used to do. But they're incapable of doing it right now. For the following fiscal year, and submit said budget to the president for consideration. Why so much time? So we, the people, have some ability to look at it. And the president and the administration has some time to review it too. Section 2, shall Congress fail to adopt a final fiscal year budget prior to the start of each fiscal year? You know, continuing resolutions? No. Should Congress fail to do what it's supposed to do, which shall commence on October 1, that's their fiscal year, of every year, and shall the president fail to sign said budget into law, so if he chooses, or she, not to sign it, an automatic, across the board, 5% reduction in expenditures from the prior year's fiscal budget shall be imposed for the fiscal year in which a budget has not been adopted. So a fiscal gun, if you will, is pointed to their heads. You better get this done. President better get this done, but you better get it to the president, get it done in time, or automatically there's a 5% cut across the board. Section 3, total outlays of the United States government for any fiscal year shall not exceed its receipts for that fiscal year. Now, as you'll learn in a second, I propose this amendment going into place in 4 years. Maybe it could be 6 years, whatever it is, so you have time to build to it. But at some point, you got to get to a balanced budget. Section 4, total outlays of the United States government for each fiscal year shall not exceed 17.5% of the nation's gross domestic product for the previous calendar year. So I am tying, as Milton Friedman suggested half a century ago, and brilliantly, you tie the growth of government to the growth of the GDP. The GDP doesn't grow, the government doesn't grow. If it does grow, you still limit it to how much it can grow, but it can grow. Section 5, total receipts shall include all receipts of the United States government, but shall not include those derived from borrowing. My fear was they'll just start borrowing money and pouring it in. No. Total receipts exclude borrowing. Total outlays should include all outlays of the United States government except those for the repayment of the principal debt. Why? Because you got to pay the debt or the system collapse. Section 6, Congress may provide for a 1-year suspension of one or more of the preceding sections of this article by a 3/5 vote of both houses of Congress, provided the vote is conducted by roll call and sets forth the specific excess of outlays over receipts over the 17.5%. Section 7, the limit on the debt of the United States held by the public shall not be increased unless 3/5 of both houses of Congress shall provide for such an increase by roll call vote. First, these things need to be in place to limit the spending, to limit the borrowing, limit the taxation, and so forth and so on. Then you need a supermajority to raise the debt limit. Our problem is the debt. Section 8, the amendment shall take effect in the 4th fiscal year after ratification. It could be the 6th, the 7th, the 5th, whatever it is. And then it has a companion taxing amendment. Section 1, Congress shall not collect more than 15% of a person's annual income from whatever source derived. Persons shall include natural and legal persons. Section 2, the deadline for filing a federal income tax return shall be the day before the date set for elections to federal office. You elect people, and it ought to be fresh in your mind that you just paid a lot of taxes. Section 3, Congress shall not collect taxes on a decedent's estate. You die, that money belongs to your family. You have a farm, you have a ranch, you have a small business, you have a few homes. That's it. The government had its take when you were alive. No inheritance tax. Section 4, Congress shall not institute a value-added tax or national sales tax or any other tax in kind or form in order to get around the raising of taxes and the limitations. No other taxes. Section 5, this amendment shall take effect in the 4th fiscal year after its ratification. In other words, combined with the other, it could be the 6th or 7th. Okay, I'm not saying this is perfect, pretty damn good. There can be other proposals. But look, if we're serious about getting this under control, there are ways to do it. The framers gave it to us. We're just not serious. I'll be right back.
Now, everybody knows Mark Levin is an OG. He's been doing this for decades. So every time he speaks, I listen and I do my research, and then he always pans out to be true. All right, listen to the 45th, now the 47th President of the United States on Air Force One.
Well, they gave.
Working hard for the American people.
It's a lot of people. So we visited the military course just to see if we could fix it up and make it nice. The budgetary situation takes some years to get something approved, so we're going to take a look at that. It's 2 courses, very nice, but they need a lot of work, and if we can fix them up, the military, they're for the military, if we can fix them up, we're going to do that.
Mr. President, did you speak with Bukele directly to facilitate the return of Abrego Garcia?
I don't want to say that, but he's returned.
Did you have any conversations with him?
He should have never had to be returned. I mean, you take a look at what's happened with him. You take a look at what they found in the grand jury and everywhere else. I thought Pam Bondi did a great job today.
Was this your call to bring him back to the United States?
I don't want to say that.
Mr. President, you posted yesterday.
Either way, it's a disaster. He's a whole disaster. Look at him with his antics. Not good. And for the Democrats to have backed him, this was not the man from Maryland, this wonderful father from Maryland. This is a pretty bad guy.
Mr. President, you posted yesterday that a good way to save money would be to cancel some of Musk's contracts. How seriously are you considering that?
Well, we'll take a look at everything. I look at everything. He's got a lot of money. He gets a lot of subsidy. So we'll take a look at that. Only if it's fair. Only if it's fair for him and for the country, I would certainly think about it, yeah, but it has to be fair.
Mr. President, would you consider reopening investigations into his companies? There are a bunch of investigations.
I didn't know that they had any, but they had them. I would just let them speak for themselves. I had no idea. Excuse me. I have no idea whether or not they had investigations.
And what's your view on Elon Musk as of today? I mean, have you heard from him at all? Is your
Honestly, I've been so busy working on China, working on Russia, working on Iran, working on so many. I'm not thinking about Elon. I just wish him well.
On the China talk, sir, there's a meeting coming up with Secretary Bessent and Secretary Ludnick.
Legendaries.
What do you hope to see from those talks in London, sir, with
We're
China?
very far advanced on the China deal. We wanted clarification. We had to have clarification. A little bumpy up here. We had to have clarification, and that's what we're really having the meeting about. We had a very good talk. I talked to President Xi for, I guess, more than 2 hours. We had a very good talk. It's a complicated deal, but it's a deal that's going to bring us a lot of money and a lot of everything else, and we get along very well with President Xi and with China.
On Mr. Musk's contracts, do you feel like the U.S. can survive without them? Obviously, you contribute a lot when it comes to defense and space, and that relationship has been important for quite some time.
The U.S. can survive without almost anybody.
And do you
except me?
Did you have any concerns about his drug use when he was working for you?
I don't want to comment on his drug use. I don't know. I don't know what his status is. I read an article in the New York Times. I thought it sounded very unfair to me.
You said earlier today that Mr. Musk had a problem. What did you mean by that? And did you misjudge him?
I don't want to talk about problems. I think that I think the United States had problems, and if you look at the numbers today, the numbers were unbelievable. The numbers were incredible. The numbers that came up today, the stock market went way up. The country's doing really well. Almost, I think, in a very short period of time, you're going to be saying doing better than it's ever done before. We have hundreds of plants coming in, a lot of jobs are being created. That's what happened this morning. You saw the jobs. And the nice part, they're not government jobs. They're jobs of people coming in and doing other things, including the leisure, hotel and leisures. Good stuff. A lot of good things are happening with our country. We're taking in billions of dollars of tariff money. The money is pouring in. And it hasn't even started yet, really, relatively. We're going to have a very successful country very soon, and the stock market is seeing that. We have, and I've been saying it, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, the hottest country. And if you think about it, 6 months ago, we had the coldest country. We had a country that was a disaster. And we've done it very quickly. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. President, on the One Big Beautiful Bill, so your critics, often your critics...
I don't have too many critics because, you know, honestly, I don't know of anybody that's going to vote against it. Maybe Rand Paul or somebody, but, you know, they always vote against it. But I actually think that over the last 24 hours, it's even solidified. We have tremendous support.
So just the critics that want to talk about the bill, they often fail to mention that your tariffs are actually offsetting a lot, you know, the debt in itself. Yeah. I believe the CBO said 2.8 trillion over the next 10 years. So what do you have to say to that?
We have tremendous reviews, and CBO, who never gives good, basically.
Once again, the GOAT strikes. Dr. Luke says Trump is still as sharp as ever, mentally and fashion-wise also. Absolutely. Absolutely. The fact that this guy is, 79 years old? Right? "78 years old. He's going to be 79, next week? Oh, man. And almost nobody can keep up with him. He just went toe-to-toe with every leader of the world when he did the Liberation Day announcement. And nobody could go toe-to-toe with Trump. Even President Xi, nobody. And I always say this, look, I don't think anybody on earth can give you these types of talent and strength. These types of strength and grace comes from God. I always say it. Okay, some people are smart, but not strong enough to go a long distance. But Trump, his longevity is just out of this world. And the only power that can give you this type of longevity is God Almighty. No matter how you go against him, no matter how much you hate him, no matter how much you want him gone, he just keeps coming back at you. He just keeps coming back at you. That kind of tenacity can only be given to any man by God.
It's a Democrat group, and we're getting tremendous reviews on the bill. We cut 1.6 trillion, not billion, trillion out of the budget, and yet we haven't affected anybody. We're going to save and totally cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. The Democrats are going to destroy it. They'll destroy it. We're going to save it and make it stronger than ever before. So Medicare, Medicaid, they just make statements. Oh, he's going to talk. We're not touching it other than waste, fraud, and abuse.
That was my next question. On Russia, Ukraine, did the Ukraine drone strikes against the bombers inside Russia, the airfields, did that change your view at all of what Zelensky, the cards he has?
Well, they gave Putin a reason to go in and bomb the hell out of him last night. That's the thing I didn't like about it. When I saw it, I said, here we go. Now it's going to be a strike. You know, I did something that people don't talk about, and I don't talk about very much, but we solved a big problem, a nuclear problem, potentially, with India and with Pakistan. And I spoke to Pakistan, I spoke to India. They have really great leaders. But they were going at it, and they could have gone at it nuclear, both nuclear countries, strong nuclear countries. And I talked about trade, and I said, we're not doing trade if you guys are going to be throwing bombs at each other, and they both stopped. And I stopped that war immediately. That was going, as you know, that was going much further, and hopefully not to nuclear, but it might have gone to nuclear. In fact, it might have gone to nuclear in the next round, but we stopped it. And I'd like to comment the leaders of both countries, Pakistan and India.
Are you worried that there might be a nuclear breakout with Russia, Ukraine? Are you worried that could...
I hope not. I hope not. I think it's a war that would have never happened. If I were president, that wouldn't have happened. I certainly hope not.
Mr. President, Senator Hawley said he had spoken with you about potentially removing cuts that were in the House passed bill to Medicaid that would hurt Trump voters in rural areas. What are your thoughts about that?
I did speak about that. We're really talking about waste, fraud, and abuse. And Senator Hawley's a great senator. He's a good guy. And I did speak to him, and we want to make sure that doesn't hurt anybody, you know, because it is about waste, fraud, and abuse. That's the only thing. And everybody wants that.
On Russia, Ukraine, where are you you at today with the Senate sanction bills? There's been some reporting that the White House is, considering
Well, I know the
getting
bill.
watered
I studied
down.
the bill. We're going to see. I mean, if I think Russia will not be making a deal or stopping the bloodshed, 5 and 6 even. I've been saying 5 and 6, and now it's more. 1,000 a week, soldiers being killed, and people being killed. Not just soldiers, people being killed, but largely soldiers being killed. Yeah, I'd use it if it's necessary. And they really give me that option.
Are you trying to get the Senate to water it down, though, from its current version?
I haven't spoken about it. They have a bill. It's going to be up to me. It's my option. They've made it that way, and it would save a lot of time if that happened. So I'm okay with it. I haven't decided to use it. It's a very strong bill.
Mr. President, you gave Elon Musk, when he left the White House, a key, symbolically, to the White House, to the administration at large. I think that's what would you like him to give that back?
No, I don't take things back. No,
What about the Tesla?
I gave him a key. He tried very hard. The Tesla, I haven't thought about it.
On his work then, as of this point, for the administration, how do you think his Doge did at the end of the day with the savings that?
I think it helped us a lot. I think it helped our thinking, and it's not finished at all. We've basically taken it over, and we're doing a job. Many of those people remain with us, and they're going to remain with us. They're very good. It's terrific. We saved, hundreds of billions of dollars. It's terrific, and it's going further. I mean, I'd give you the answer actually at the end of 2 years, because a lot of it is out into the future. But it was a big saving and a good mindset.
And what are you going to do about the Tesla? Are you going to keep it, or are you going to?
I haven't thought about it.
Do you have any plans to contact?
I hope he does well with Tesla.
Do you have any plans to speak with Mr. Musk? This was one of your closest advisors for months.
I don't have any plans. Somebody made a mistake. A lot of reporters have been calling me. I didn't call any reporter. A lot of reporters, they asked me the same question. No, I don't. I'm not even thinking about that.
There apparently were these efforts. This is what I read, to bring you and Elon back together. So those efforts where are they?
No, there are efforts. I mean, I've been asked about it, but I'm not really interested in that. I'm really interested in the country and solving problems, including war problems in very far away lands. A lot of people being killed. When I left, we had no problem. We didn't have wars. We defeated ISIS 100%. Iran was broke. There was no Hamas problem. There was no Hezbollah problem.
All facts.
Israel wouldn't have happened, in other words.
All facts.
Russia, Ukraine wouldn't have happened. We had no inflation. And by the way, we have no inflation now. And if we had a good Fed chairman, you would lower rates. And you know what? If inflation happened in a year from now or 2 years, let them raise rates. But we're going out for long-term debt or short-term debt. We have a lot of debt coming due because Biden had all short-term debt, mostly. And we would get a lower rate and a lower interest rate if this guy would lower rates. We get a lower interest rate. It's unbelievable. And he's worried about inflation. If he worries about inflation any longer, all he has to do is get the lower rate, let us go out, borrow at a much lower rate, much lower. You could go down a point or two. We'll go out, borrow them, and if in 2 years inflation comes back, he raises rates. But he keeps them the same. It's insane.
What's your next Fed chair? Are you already thinking about who your next Fed chair would be? I know it's 2026 when his term expires. So you're already thinking about it.
It's coming out very soon.
Who are you thinking about for that?
I could tell you, but I don't think I'll.
What do you make?
I have a pretty good idea.
Kevin Warsh, one of those
very highly thought.
What do you make of the Ayatollah saying that they have to enrich? They have to be able to enrich.
They won't be enriching. If they enrich, then we're going to have to do it the other way, and I don't really want to do it the other way, but we're going to have no choice.
What's your latest?
There's not going to be enrichment.
Just one more on Abrego Garcia, sir, because this is the big news for today. Just months ago, it seemed like from El Salvador to even your administration that there was no chances that he would be returned. So can you just explain to the American people what sort of happened to facilitate his return in the last few
DOJ made a decision. I think their decisions have been very, very good. And maybe they just said, look, all of these people, these judges, they want to try and run the country. The judges are a local judge trying to run the country. The man has a horrible past, and I could see a decision being made. Bring him back, show everybody how horrible this guy is, and frankly, we have to do something because the judges are trying to take the place of a president that won in a landslide, and that's not supposed to be the way it is. And so I could see bringing him back. I could see it either way, bringing him back or not bringing him back, but by bringing him back, you show how bad he is. He's a bad guy.
On China, sir, did President Xi agree to restart the flow of rare earth minerals and magnets?
Say it what?
Did President Xi agree to restart the flow of rare earth minerals and magnets?
Yes, he did. Thank you very much,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for coming back.
Nobody even comes close to this guy. His transparency is just out of this world. On Air Force One, he allows the media news, which most of them are most likely fake news, and he allows them travel with him. He even asks, do you want to go on the plane with me? You could come with me so you can ask me your question. What? Biden could never. Okay? And the question they ask Biden is, what's your favorite ice cream? Chocolate chip. Right? Thank God. We got a new one.
Reaction. Deputy White House Chief of Staff for Policy, Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller. Look, we're going to be dealing with this for decades to come. It doesn't remove every known terrorist that we don't know where they are in the country that they allowed in, or the cartel members, or the gang members, or the murderers, or the rapists, or the other violent criminals, or the drug dealers. But we stopped the influx of illegals. Now we're in the process of trying to find all the people that Biden let in and get rid of them. That's a Herculean task.
Yes, it's a mammoth task. As President Trump has said, Biden flooded this country with millions and millions of illegal aliens, many of them rapists, murderers, gang members, terrorists, human smugglers, child traffickers, and every kind of criminal and thug that you can imagine on planet Earth. But let's begin by celebrating the incredible news that President Trump, as you mentioned, Sean, has achieved the most secure border with the lowest level of illegal crossings in U.S. history. Sean, I've been studying and following and working on this issue for a long time. There is no nation anywhere on planet Earth that has achieved such a rapid success on its border in any time period as President Trump has achieved here in the United States. Going nearly overnight from an open border to a sealed border surely ranks as one of the great achievements in the history of domestic policy and national security. Now, you mentioned another breaking news story tonight, Sean. The Department of Justice has indicted the illegal alien terrorist from Maryland, the so-called Maryland Man, who is actually a foreign terrorist from El Salvador, to make him face justice for his monstrous crimes against humanity. Another huge win for the Trump administration. Thanks to weeks of investigative work, this illegal alien monster is going to be held accountable for his terrible crimes against women and children. And then guess what, Sean? After he does hard time in an American jail, guess where he's going? Right back to El Salvador. What do Democrats have to say about this now? They celebrated this guy. They worshiped this guy. They treated him as a hero. Now he's been indicted by a grand jury for committing some of the most heinous crimes I've ever read about. He's going to do hard time in our jails, and then he's going back home where he belongs, to El Salvador.
Here's my worry. In spite of everything that you have accomplished, and you are right in expressing, we've never been able to secure a border this fast. There's never been a more preventable national security disaster like this. But in spite of all of these great efforts in record time, you, the president, the vice president, Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, everybody involved here, I don't know how you find every terrorist. I was asking Dan Bongino about it this week. How do you possibly find people that we don't even know are in this country, the gotaways that got in? We don't know where they came from. 200 countries? I've got to imagine that my prediction, it's a matter of when, not if, and is going to turn out to be right. I mean, I would argue last weekend in Boulder was a terrorist attack. And I think that, you know, we have a million man out.
It was a terrorist attack from a Biden illegal. It was a terrorist attack from a Biden illegal that was given a work permit by Joe Biden.
1 million FBI man hours spent on the border, Stephen?
So you're right. This is the thing that gives me the greatest concern about the future of this country, is the millions of unvetted, unchecked, and just unknown foreign nationals who have been deposited into this country, not to mention the millions more of visa overstays embedded into all of our communities, some operating at the direction and control of foreign governments, foreign enemies, foreign terrorist organizations, not to mention the cartels. which have spread so much bloodshed across this hemisphere, that do business with some of our worst adversaries. But it's why, Sean, and I'll say this now, it's why it's so important to pass the president's big, beautiful bill. Because that legislation hires 10,000 new ICE agents to go and find these killers and terrorists. It funds the detention beds we need to keep these people off our streets. It funds the planes we need to fly them back home. It also funds the creation of Homeland Security task forces with FBI, ATF, ICE, Homeland Security investigations, and others to prioritize the disruption and dismantlement of foreign terrorist organizations in our cities. And of course, it funds the entire phase 2 of the Wall project across the entire southern border. That funding and the authorities in this legislation, Sean, are the best chance that we have of giving our president, our commander-in-chief, our leader, the tools that he needs to keep America safe.
You know, and by the way, you're right. The bill has to be passed. Lindsey Graham on my radio show earlier today was very clear. We're not going to stop here. We're going to go back. We're going to look for all the savings we can possibly find. And he said he wants to do not one, but 2 more reconciliation bills as fast as possible. Find money for savings. But we need this money up front. It is imperative for all of the things that you mentioned, securing the border, energy dominance, the next generation of weaponry, and, of course, tax cuts for the American people.
Yes.
Stephen Miller, very ambitious agenda, and we got to fight to keep the country safe. Stephen Miller, appreciate it.
Enact the promises President Trump campaigned on, and we will. Thank you, Sean.
Shout out to Stephen Miller. Shout out to Hannity as well. Hannity, for sure, is a legend in the game for many, many decades. And Stephen Miller is doing a great job. A very articulate person, for sure. For sure. All right, we're going to recap on Elon Musk and Trump, even if it's over now, for sure. Because I guess it just has to be, if you think about it. Because the bill that everybody's crying about is what the commander-in-chief actually campaigned on. Why is everybody acting like this guy didn't campaign on all of these things? Everything he's doing right now, he campaigned on. From the border to deportation to tariffs to the big beautiful bill, he said everything on the campaign grounds. This is literally the only candidate who does exactly what he says he was going to do. And now everybody's crying like, oh, he said he was going to do it.
That's the focus of tonight's angle. Well, the clash of the Titans was something to behold yesterday, and the shockwaves are still reverberating through MAGA land and the GOP and the rest of the country. Will they or won't they kiss and make up? Well, hopes for a rapprochement or a reconciliation by telephone kind of fizzled earlier today when in a phone call with Bret Baier, Trump said Musk just totally lost it. And Musk's spokesman said that Musk himself didn't give an F about the GOP or the RNC. Oh, that's nice. But at the same time, posting on X earlier, Musk seemed a little bit maybe to soften, agreeing with a Bill Ackman post in which he wrote that he and Trump are better off in an alliance together. Makes sense. Look, who knows how all of this drama is going to unfold, where it ultimately will end up. But if anyone thought that liberals were going to welcome, Elon Musk with open arms, Hakeem Jeffries threw cold water on that idea when asked about it earlier today. Look, no one, again, knows how this will end up as an ongoing, unfolding escalation, or ultimately they'll get back together. We hope they do. But one thing we do know is that life will go on. And there's a lot of great economic news out there, leading the economic doomsdayers to scratch their heads. The people at Bloomberg didn't know what to report. And the jobs numbers came in higher than expected at 139,000. Only 130 were predicted. And wage growth outpaced inflation at 3.9%. And digging into the details, it also looks like those jobs that were created were going to native-born Americans. Yeah, that's good news. And as a result of all this, the Dow also went up nearly 450 points today. That is a big wow. But I thought we were told the sky was falling because of all the Trump tariffs. As for all that hand-wringing about it's going to cause inflation, well, it did not happen. The globalists at The Economist are obviously frustrated. They had to post this headline: Trump's tariffs have so far caused little inflation. Boo-hoo. Noting that rarely had economists spoken in such unison, warning about the inflation that was supposedly coming. But then they had to add, the administration should not be cheering just yet. With tariffs higher than during much of the Depression, consumers are bound to see some effect in time. My friends, that is called wishful thinking from The Economist. Well, the truth is Donald Trump has been consistently better on economic issues than all of the so-called experts, than all of his critics. He ran on restoring the middle class, on bringing jobs back home, enforcing the border, lowering energy prices, and getting U.S. better trade deals. He's working on all of those issues on all fronts 24/7. Despite the court rulings that sometimes have been against him, despite limited help from Capitol Hill, despite almost no help from the business community, with help from Elon Musk, without help from Elon Musk, he will keep fighting. And back to Elon, look, he's smart enough to know that if he has any political home, and I know no party's perfect, but it has to be with the Trump Republicans. Democrats, oh my goodness, they showed their true selves. Every time they sat silently when Teslas got vandalized, even torched, and when their constituents tried to destroy the entire company that Elon Musk worked so hard to create. Again, Republicans are not perfect. We criticize Republicans plenty on The Angle. They have been driving the spending problem for decades. But they're not insane, and they don't seek to punish American entrepreneurs and innovators just because they happen to be Democrats. And that's The Angle.
The biggest breakup in America is what everyone's talking about. Well, everyone except Trump.
Here's exactly what he said. Quote, I'm not even thinking about Elon. He's got a problem. The poor guy's got a problem. He said he won't be speaking to him for a while, but he said he wishes Elon Musk well. I mean, the blast radius from this fallout is really, really big and very wide. But right now, he said he's not interested in that, and he's moving on.
I'm moving on. No one ever wants to hear that. Trump just says he's too busy.
What's your view on Elon Musk as of today? I mean, have you heard from him at all? Is your
Honestly,
team...
I've been so busy working on China, working on Russia, working on Iran, working on so many things. I'm not thinking about Elon.
On the China...
And I just wish him well.
47's planning on getting rid of anything that reminds him of Musk. Remember that shiny red Tesla that Elon sold him? Well, it's getting doged.
There is a Tesla there that President Trump bought during a Tesla demo on the South Lawn a few months ago to try to help Elon Musk's business while it was being vandalized. We're told that that Tesla, still sitting there, the red Tesla with Florida tags, is either going to be given away or sold off.
But Trump says Elon can keep some of the things he gave him.
You gave Elon Musk when you left the White House symbolically to the White House, to the administration at large. I think that's what.
Yeah.
Would you like him to give that back?
No, I don't take things back.
Elon woke up this morning and signaled he'd be open to burying the hatchet. Billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackman says they're stronger together than apart. Elon responded saying, "You're not wrong." Elon tried to set up a phone call with Don and maybe work things out. Trump said no, he's not interested. Elon's totally lost it, is what Trump's telling people. He'd rather take anyone else's call. He even picked up the phone when ABC called at the crack of dawn.
You call the president on his cell phone at 6:45, he picks up.
Yeah, he picked up. Look, there's been reporting out there that the White House is working to put together a call between Elon Musk and Donald Trump to broker some kind of peace. I asked Donald Trump about that. He said he's not particularly interested in talking to Elon Musk. He said Elon wants to talk to him. He's not ready to talk to Musk, who he called a man who has lost his mind.
Everyone at the White House chose sides, and not a lot of people sided with Musk. Insiders say we're dealing with someone who's unstable, We saw it coming. We have one president, one person got elected. Some people in the White House say they didn't really like Elon's attitude. People in Trump world feel like the president gave him everything, and he still stabbed him in the back. Quote, the president treated him almost like a son. He invited his family to Christmas dinner. He let him sleep over. He let him walk in and out of meetings. The president went to the max informality to welcome this guy. Trump brought him to UFC fights and rallies. Here they are behind the scenes at MSG. Watch.
You want to go on stage, Ed? Yeah. You do? Wow, you're crazy. Is this thing on? X. Should we say President Trump? Yes. And then search up.
No, it's game over. This switch and go somewhere. Game over. Hi. How do you do?
Fantastic. That would be great.
Go have a good time. That's the great. Speak Spanish.
You go have a good time, man.
Thank you.
That's from The Art of the Surge. You can watch more of that on Fox Nation. But after the campaign and 130 days in the White House, sources say Elon overstayed his welcome.
Talked to a couple of people yesterday who said Elon had privately talked about, well, maybe I could extend my time in the White House. And Trump kind of politely said, nah, you've done a great job. You can leave now. So they weren't quite as close as they were at the very frenzied beginning of that situationship. But it was a good lukewarm relationship.
We can't confirm that. But working at the White House, there's a lot of pressure. And everything's a turf war. And Doge was in everyone's department. Remember that black eye that Elon was sporting last week? He said it was from X, his son. PBD says there might be more to that story.
If you use your imagination, God knows what happened with that black eye. Mm-hmm. That black eye, was it a fight that took place? Somebody swung and it really offended Elon. Is like, look what I'm going to do to you guys. Is that a Lutnick? Is that, I don't know who else did it. Who else will be in that room? I don't know who it is. Maybe, but think about it. That doesn't accidentally happen. And you want to do something like this too. Maybe it was a meeting while they're calling each other out and somebody just, because Elon started calling out Trump and it got nasty and then somebody swung.
That's obviously speculation, but there's a lot of rumors flying around. And no one's trying to cancel Elon. He had a beef with the big, beautiful bill and has a right to speak his mind. He's saying he doesn't want tax relief and he wanted to keep his EV subsidies going. And he thinks we're spending too much. But he had to know. He had to know.
Once again, the GOAT strikes. Here we go. Dr. Luke says, Donald has been more pro-life, more Christian, more Constitution than any other president. That is 100% sure. No one is blameless, and no one is doing as much as him to fix our country. You know what the Bible says? He who is without sin cast the first stone. Okay? Just like Dr. Luke says, no one is blameless, ladies and gentlemen. No one. Okay? No one is blameless. But who is actually trying to fix the situation? It's the 45th and now the 47th President of the United States. That's the person calling for peace. Remember when India and Pakistan happened? Who mediated peace? Donald Trump. Who traveled to the Middle East, where it's like, oh, no American president should go to the Middle East? Who went there? Donald Trump. Who is on the phone with Vladimir Putin 2 hours and 15 minutes trying to negotiate peace? Donald Trump. Who is securing the border and deporting criminal, dangerous illegals? Donald Trump. Who is mounting 100 feet United States flag in the White House? Donald Trump. I mean, we could keep going, but that shows you how much he actually loves the United States. He could be doing anything right now. This man has been a billionaire for probably before I was born. For sure before I was born. Okay? But he keeps going and supporting the United States. That's why we're here tonight. You, me, anybody else here. Liberals, conservative, it doesn't matter. What matters is you are American. You love this country. You want the best for this country. That's what matters. Okay? That's what matters. I don't care if you're liberal. I don't care if whatever you are, as long as you love the United States and you want the best for the United States and you pray for the United States, that's what matters, ladies and gentlemen.
Scorched earth in public the way he did about the centerpiece of the Trump agenda was going to cause a massive earthquake. Republican sources tell us Musk won't be able to kill the bill, but he's killing the whole sales pitch. So they want to move on and pass this beauty by Independence Day. AOC, though, digging the drama.
Oh, man, the girls are fighting, aren't they? You know, I would say that this was something that was a long time coming, where we've been seeing that these two huge egos were not long for being together in this world as friends. And so I think this breakup we've been seeing a long time coming, but we'll see what the impacts are of it legislatively.
AOC doesn't get it. Republicans are allowed to speak their mind. Democrats, they get handed talking points and they can't have an opinion. So they're all butting heads about what to do. Swalwell says if Democrats win back the House, they're going to open up the Epstein files and look for Trump's name. But he better be careful where he looks because he might find Clinton's. Some Democrats are trying to woo Elon back into their party. Sorry, we burnt your cars, Nazi, and accused you of killing 300,000 people. No, that's not happening. Elon's not that naive. And even Democrats don't flip-flop that fast. Others want Trump to finally be a dictator on day one and get revenge.
Those Doge employees, the people that Axelrod was just talking about, are very dangerous. If Donald Trump is smart, the first thing he's going to do is fire, investigate, and prosecute all of Elon's people who are all throughout government with their laptops downloading data right now.
Trump's going to lock up big balls? Fat chance. Trump just had a falling out with his biggest donor, the world's richest man. And Democrats don't even know what to say. CNN thinks Trump's going to have Elon executed.
I think this is bad for Musk. If you look at the history around the world of authoritarians breaking up with their oligarch buddies, those oligarch buddies don't end up in a good place. They either end up impoverished, imprisoned, or dead. I'm not saying that that's going to happen to Elon Musk here, but the power is with the government. You saw Donald Trump immediately say, all right, we're going to take away your, contracts. We're going to, punish you and retaliate. And he has the power to do that. We've seen Donald Trump exercise that power.
Democrats are like, Trump is going to kill you. You're safe with us. We'll protect you, Elon, for a price. If Trump was a murderous dictator, everybody in the press would be dead. And Comey would be 6 feet deep. Trump's had people come and go his whole life. DeSantis is still alive. Omarosa's still kicking. And Michael Cohen, he hasn't had any accidents. It's not like Trump's Hillary and just offs people, allegedly. Politics is vicious. Having Elon around was fun. But just because he's gone doesn't mean the fun's over. Trump says America's hot. 6 months ago, it was cold as ice. He's keeping his mind busy and says after the big, beautiful bill, he's building a big, beautiful ballroom. Quote, just inspected the site of the new ballroom that'll be built. Compliments of a man known as Donald J. Trump at the White House. For 150 years, presidents and many others have wanted a beautiful ballroom, but it never got built because nobody previously had any knowledge or experience in doing such things. But I do. And these are the fun projects I do while thinking about the world economy, the United States, China, Russia, and lots of other countries, places, and events. It will all be good, maybe even great, depending on who is the president of the USA. Trump's going to throw a party of the century at the White House. And we'll see if Elon makes the cut.
And welcome to this special edition of Hannity. All right, so the magnitude of the mess that Joe Biden left behind and how President Trump is now having a clean house, well, I want to be really crystal clear about one thing. The sheer volume and extent of the unmitigated disasters that President Trump inherited, it's almost unthinkable. The economy in a complete state of shambles, massive inflation, prices up 20%, gas prices through the roof. Growth was next to nothing. Few private sector jobs were being created. Wages stagnant, consumer debt through the roof, American industry gutted, interest rates tripled. And the border, we endured a record level of illegal immigration, anywhere from 12 to 20, nobody knows the exact number, in just 4 years, including, let's see, known terrorists. We have, Iranian assassination squads. We have gang members, cartel members, human traffickers, drug traffickers. We have murderers. We have rapists. We have other violent criminals in this country, all operating inside our country with virtually no fear of deportation under Joe Biden. Overseas, Biden failed to prevent costly new wars on not one but two continents. No one respected, nobody feared the U.S. after the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Our relationship with our allies in the Middle East was in shambles. Everybody worldwide knew he was a cognitive mess. China operating with impunity, including, over our own airspace. Remember the spy balloon? And back at home, we had virulent anti-Semitism, extremism from Biden's own base of his party. That was on the rise. From college campuses to the halls of Congress, President Trump came within a millimeter of losing his life to an assassin and another would-be assassin later. And meanwhile, college campuses, they became nothing but hotbeds of bigotry, woke politics, infiltrating every part of American life, including our military and our schools. And let's not forget about the out-of-control bureaucracy that waged a campaign of lawfare, censorship against Trump, his supporters, while also wasting billions and billions of your dollars on broadband internet that failed to connect anyone and to anything, and charging stations that were never built. And we spent billions on that and a slew of other bizarre left-wing projects, both at home and all over the world. Oh, and if they had their way, they would pick the car in your driveway. They would take away your gas stove. They would take away your plastic straws. They would take away your air conditioner. They would take away your refrigerator. So much for the pro-choice.
Once again, the GOAT strikes. I'm telling y'all, he's not called the GOAT for no reason. Shout out to Dr. Luke. Dr. Luke says, Democrats, politicians tried to pull an illegal move and complained when he used the rules to undo it. That's what they do every time, man. That's what they do every time. That's what they do every time. Every single time. Shout out to Dr. Luke. God bless you, man. Here we go.
Party. And as you can see, Trump is also facing the challenge of a lifetime. But tonight, despite all of the noise, all of the hysteria, all the doom, the gloom predictions from the left, well, we are seeing massive progress. President Trump is fixing the country. Look at one item. Look at the economy. Trump slashing regulations, unchained American oil and gas industry so America can aspire to energy dominance. That'll make us rich. A lot of high-paying career jobs for people. And, of course, President Trump halting Biden's expansion of government and the bureaucracy. And now, look at the results. Take a look.
It's really exciting overall. And look, the real story here is the government jobs are down and the small business economy is growing and the private economy is growing. This is exactly what Donald Trump wanted to do. We're inversing everything that Biden had done.
If we look at the earnings from a month-over-month perspective, it comes in up 0.4, much better than expected. We were looking for up 0.3.
This is the third jobs day beat in a row, right? The third time the president beat expectations in a row. He's created over 500,000 jobs since he was inaugurated, and that's while cutting the federal workforce by 50,000 jobs, thanks to efforts to trim waste, fraud, and abuse.
And amazingly, the very respected Atlanta Fed this week says they're projecting 4.6% growth for the second quarter. Now, for the third month in a row, the jobs report outpacing expectations, 140,000 new jobs in the month of May. Now, keep in mind, those are private sector jobs filled by American workers. That is the direct opposite of what we saw under Biden. That's not all. Hourly earnings for Americans up a significant 4%. That helps against inflation that Biden created. And amid Donald Trump's tariff negotiations, inflation went down. Went down to 2.1%, right where the Fed likes it. Maybe Jerome Powell will get off his duff and maybe he'll drop a full basis point and get the economy moving, which every other country has done. And get this, the U.S. trade deficit narrowed by a record amount. And by the way, revenues from tariffs the last 2 months, close to $50 billion. Incredible news. The president hasn't even been in office 6 months. And that's not all. Border security, a tremendous success for the president, probably his most obvious success. We're going to have a lot more on that with Stephen Miller. But look at these statistics. Border crossings remain at record lows. ICE just broke an arrest record 2 days in a row under Trump's new immigration directives. Violent crime is also way down under Trump, including New York City, Chicago, even Baltimore, where woke politics have been pushed to the side, while police are now beginning once again to abandon, defund, dismantle no bail laws and lock up career criminals and conduct all over the country routine street patrols. Policing works. And through new executive actions, President Trump is also forcing schools to ditch their own woke policies. And also he's protecting women's sports in Title IX. And today, of all days, on the anniversary of D-Day, it is important to note that under Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth's leadership, woke politics, they are kicked out of our military. Instead, now the military is solely focused on war and fighting and protecting our country and liberty and freedom. As a result, the Biden-era recruiting woes, they are now over. Recruitment in every single branch in the military is now surging. Incredible progress in less than 6 months. Of course, the work is far from over. The president inherited a disaster. Under, the president's leadership, the country, thankfully, is beginning to recover from these last 4 years. The dark days of the cognitively impaired Biden are over, and soon we could be headed for that golden age of America that the president talks about.
We couldn't get Will Cain, so here's Todd Pyro.
How felt? Funny as hell.
And she went from naughty by nature to balance of nature. Host of Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. Yeah. It's like a white boy summer here, huh? Sorry, Kennedy. Before we get to some news stories, let's do this.
Greg's Leftovers.
Which means in New York City, all chalk body outlines will feature jazz hands. President Trump and Elon Musk are feuding after Elon called the big, beautiful bill a mountain of disgusting pork. In Trump's defense, there's nothing in the bill about The View. You see that one coming? Yeah. Huh? Amazon is testing humanoid robots that deliver packages. Here at Fox, of course, we've been testing humanoid robots for years. Chinese scientists who allegedly smuggled a deadly fungus into America will remain in U.S. custody. And guess who already posted her bail? And guess who already tried to bang her? 1-2 punch. 1-2. According to a new study, hanging out with ugly people can make you appear better looking than you are. Anyway, thanks for being here, Todd. Michelle Obama has a new fashion book coming out. It's a pop-up book. People love pop-up books. Let's see what the fuss is about. According to a new study, 99.99% of the Earth's deep ocean floor has never been seen by a human. The same goes for this guy's penis. According to a new study, there are 36% fewer gay characters on TV. But that'll change with the return of the World Cup. At the Sean Diddy Combs trial, The View's Sunny Hostin says she caught him staring at her. So if you're making a list, he likes seeing people being urinated on and Sunny Hostin. Very short list. Speaking of Sunny, she claims Doge's cuts killed 300,000 people, mostly children, prompting Doge to change its name to Planned Parenthood. A museum in Amsterdam is displaying a 200-year-old condom made of sheep's appendix. Oh, so that's where I left that thing, said one man. A researcher at Tufts University is studying the use of psychedelic mushrooms to treat irritable bowel syndrome. You still yourself, but now you think your poop is your old buddy Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, what's going on? You owe me $20. A Florida man has pleaded guilty to stealing 75 neighborhood pool floats, which he used for sexual gratification. It's crazy. Why not just steal one and use it 75 times? Learned that from Kudlow. Dogs can be an official witness at weddings in Colorado. The law would also apply to cats, except the women who own them never marry. Thank you. Oh, boy. Pete Hegseth removed Harvey Milk's name from a Navy ship, as many believe it was only named after him because he was gay. That also may end plans for the proposed USS John Travolta. Jerry Nadler is demanding a probe after the Department of Homeland Security detained his aide. Though the last time he demanded a probe, NASA's Voyager 2 got lost in his ass. Greta Thunberg is sailing to Gaza to give out tampons to Palestinians. Hey, that's my job, said one man. Wow. They're on fire.
Oh, man.
All right. According to Michelle Obama, producing life is the least important thing the female reproductive system does. Huh. Well, you can say that again, said one man. And finally, Zimbabwe is considering killing dozens of elephants and distributing the meat to its people. Coincidentally, the State Department is warning Joy Behar to avoid Zimbabwe. Those were good. That was a good bunch. So what a feud between Trump and Musk. It started when Elon called Trump's big, beautiful bill a disgusting abomination, which, by the way, was the original title for Jesse's show. But after that, things went downhill faster than Taylor Swift once she hit 30. I know, really let herself go. And I have to say, they're making all of us billionaires look bad. Seriously, the last time people aired out that much dirty laundry was Jerry Nadler's staff after Taco Tuesday. But the Dems and the media are in a state of shock. Wait, you guys disagree? over principles out in the open in front of the American people? Gross. Why don't you do what we did? Agree to a massive backroom cover-up to conceal our horror show of a presidency. Sure, that put our nation at risk, but no one's going to laugh at us. And then later you can write a tell-all book that implicates yourself when he's out of office. So yeah, I'll take this public tussle over the cover-up of a missing president. With the Trump White House, we know what's going on behind the scenes because there is no behind the scenes. Like Brit Hume in a Speedo, they're showing way more than we need to see. Trump wants the tax cuts he promised, while Elon is really pissed about the bill's lasting impact. But the Dems, it's not about which side is right. To them, what's right never factors in. It's just politics to them. So while this tiff is passionate, it's also authentic and brave. Two things the Dems aren't. Musk is risking it all because he believes in something. Trump has proven he'll risk his life for all of us. This is a patriot speaking truth to another patriot, not lying or hoaxing or deceiving Americans simply to hold on to power. But the media shrieks because this behavior is so alien to them. As cowards, they don't get the concept of fighting for principles. But look, no one wants to see these guys at war. If Kilmeade and I can work together, so can they. Don't let a self-inflicted wound ruin progress for millions of Americans. Remember, the mission is always bigger than the relationship. And part of that mission is Doge. And through Doge, the president and Elon showed how our taxes are being laundered to support illegal left-wing causes, and revealing bureaucracies like USAID to be as corrupt as my computer files after I clicked that email link about Korean teens. In other words, all of us should remember that the goal is the product, and it's one that can live forever. It's like when David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen had their falling out. Sure, he had to deal with Sammy Hagar for a while, but the magic that Dave and Eddie created, it lives on forever. Even today, if you hear Hot for Teacher in a bar, you'd bang Mrs. Doubtfire. So Trump and Musk, we need them as a team for the sake of our country's future. And they both need to admit the amazing work they've already done and that there's much more work left to do. And every second they spend infighting is a chance for AOC to look slightly less retarded. So I hope this gets settled. But if it doesn't, we will lovingly accept that such disagreements are aired out in the open. We voted for it. And unlike the Dems, we'll take a feud over a fraud any day.
Got failed. This guy is just way too hilarious, man.
All right, Charlie, how big is this story? Is it a big story or is it a summer fun story? Where do you see it going?
I think it's all of the above. I think the most important thing is what you said, which is it's all happening out in the open. You've got this. It's sort of like the two gladiators going at it at the Roman Colosseum. The two greatest people on Twitter going at it in just like monstrous fashion. And I love that it's out in the open, and I love that it's really freaking entertaining. And by the way, how did anybody think this was going to end any other way? Of course you were going to get this. And it is honest. People are asking, is this thing staged? It's not staged. That said, I think that they could sort of patch up very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that the fissure between the two is that you have Donald Trump, who is in his second term, and he's operating as trying to like make the system work. Elon Musk is still the barbarian at the gate that Donald Trump was. Donald Trump is now past the gate trying to make it work, and Elon is still the barbarian at the gate saying, you can't do this because it's so bad. And it's like, dude, have you ever seen a bill get put together? It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
Of course it's disgusting, but there are good things in it, and Trump wants to get that done. Of course, at the end, I do want to see him get back together.
Yeah, it's like Musk thinks, if you can build a rocket, you've got to be able to do this bill. But a bill is harder than a rocket, sadly.
Yeah, so Trump is an executive, And that's why he's very good. He's not a legislative guy.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk is something like executive squared. He's like, he truly does, he just off the top of his head gets things done. And it's got to be so frustrating. But, that is kind of how the legislative process works.
Yeah, it sucks. Tom, Charlie makes an interesting point. Like, the saying is a bull in a china shop, not two bulls in a china shop.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people saying today, oh, I hope they patch this up. I don't even know if they need to patch it up. I mean, Elon Musk is not in government. He needed him for a while, and he seemed to be having a lot of fun on the campaign trail. And even Elon said, he said, look, Trump's not perfect, but we need him right now. Like he said, this is desperate. And so him and all his tech bros were like, Trump's not our favorite guy in the whole world, but we absolutely need him. So he's out of government now. He's not in Doge. So why can't Trump just feud with him for the rest of his life? It doesn't really matter. And Trump, he seems to get along with people that he disagrees with. He gets along, as he says, with Putin. Or he talks about Xi. He went to North Korea. So Trump can get along with people. He could still cut deals with him. He doesn't have to be buddies with him.
Yeah.
But I mean, does this make Trump look so reasonable? I thought Trump was an impulsive tweeter.
Yeah.
Trump was like...
Yeah, he's the cooler head that prevails.
Yeah.
It's a new role for Trump.
Trump was like, oh, yeah, Elon is wrong. And Elon was like, I'm leaving the planet, Epstein Island.
Todd, let's pretend people listen to you.
Sure. Suspend disbelief for a second.
Yeah. What advice would you give could you give any advice?
Can I give advice as a human?
Yeah.
Yes, my 47 years on this planet have allowed me to give advice. My advice would be, I think they both need to go to their corners, figure out why they're upset, take a deep breath, and then ultimately get back. Because if you look at Trump's history, Trump feuded very publicly with the entire 2016 Republican primary field, said really mean things about them, like Ted Cruz, serial killer, things like that. And now they're all under the Trump tent. Lindsey Graham, I mean, you remember hey, I'm going golfing with Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham's the worst human ever. And then they're going golfing again the next week. I agree with Charlie that it's bigger than this time. And the egos here are two of the biggest egos that you've ever seen. But I think it'll get back.
I don't think this is an ego thing. I think that Musk really believes that the world is going to collapse if he doesn't get.
But I think both can be true.
Yeah.
I think absolutely both can be true. I guess my favorite part of this entire story is this. Let's say Kennedy and I want to engage in a social media feud. I don't know, perhaps over the fact that on the last Gutfeld, she called me not a real Fox and Friends anchor. Call back. We go on a social media platform and we attack each other. These two bought their own social media platforms to attack each other. Like Trump's on True Social. It's mine. I'm going to do it. And like Elon Musk owns X. And that just shows, I think, the stakes here and how this is so much bigger than I think we can even understand. But that's what also makes it, to a certain extent, funny. And I think to a certain extent, sort of interesting to shine a light on how our world works right now, which is just kind of ridiculous. But we're all along for the ride, so here we go.
Oh, so Kennedy, the ride's about to end.
Yeah, it's been a great ride.
But
people don't want to get off.
Yes.
You know, if they do want to get off, they'll come to New York for the Pride Parade, I guess.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Gutfeld. Too funny. All right, here we go. Shout out to the GOAT one more time. Shout out to the GOAT, Dr. Luke. He says, the funny thing is that Democrat voted for Trump too. And that's true. Most Democrat would deny that fact, Dr. Luke. Promise you, man. You have Democrat voting for Trump, and they're going to deny it to their fellow Democrat friends, to the ones that have TDS. Dr. Luke, shout out to you. And it says, because the left changed their party so much, it was unrecognizable. Absolutely. Shout out to the GOAT, Dr. Luke. Now, Democrat leaders started calling Americans the uneducated. They said the uneducated people voted for Trump. So you mean the plumbers, the construction workers, the truck drivers, the welders, The electricians are uneducated people. All right. Keep going, Democrats.
I'm so deeply amused by how quickly this escalated. And it's like, we're not going to use your rockets. Like, I'm decommissioning my rockets. Like, it's reminding me of Step Brothers. And I'm just waiting for Elon to rub his balls all over Trump's drum kit.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. Like, it's weird to see two billionaires act like each one trying to up the other ante.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you went to Epstein. It's like, how do you walk back from that?
Yes.
That's it. Like, I'm sure they could just pick up the phone. It's like, no, Elon Musk wrote himself an insurance policy to make sure that this is an unhealable rift.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
But now he's deleted all of those X. Well, what would you call it? All of those tweets on X. If you go on X right now and go to Elon Musk's page, all those tweets that says Trump was on Epstein Island, or I'm going to drop the nuclear bomb now, saying Trump is on Epstein files, all of that, he's deleted it. I don't know what he was on when he was typing and going bonkers. And maybe this is all just a setup. I mean, who knows? But both of them are better together for America because this is smart man. These are smart men. You can maybe not like Elon Musk, but you can never deny the fact that he's smart, he's intelligent, he's moved America forward. His companies are major league companies that are making the United States economy boom. You could say what you want to say, but these are facts, okay? If you just think about it, if you don't have Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, and like two other companies he has, and other companies he started like PayPal, America would probably be maybe 20 years behind. But he's smart, is intelligent, is genius level for sure. And just think about it. If you don't have a man, an OG like President Trump in the White House, America would definitely not be in a good place. Because you see what happened 4 years ago. You see what happened to the border. You had a president falling off stairs, Lord Jesus. Falling off stairs, walking into the Amazon rainforest to talk to the jaguars. You know the thing. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Joe Biden just really set us back a long time. But thank God Trump has been given the mantle now. So I believe things are going to go for the better for the United States, for the economy, for the housing market, because I know a lot of first-time home buyers are trying to get in the game. You know, so he's been trying to get Powell to lower the rates. But for some reason, Powell would not lower the rate, even though inflation is at its lowest since 2021. Of course, liberals are going to argue, but you could do your own research. Inflation is way, way down. Shout out to the OG one more time, man. All right, liberals, this is for you before you get your buckets from Busky.
Say that breaking up is hard to do. It's been just over 24 hours since the President Trump-Elon Musk friendship and alliance disintegrated into a ball of dust. And now the two men appear to be going through different stages of grief for President Trump. The stage seems to be acceptance. Today he told CNN's Dana Bash in a phone call, quote, "I'm not even thinking about Elon. He's got a problem. The poor guy's got a problem," unquote. And indeed, so far at least, we have not seen another Trump remark or post on social media about Elon Musk. When Dana asked Trump, when Dana asked Trump about reports that he was going to have a phone call with Elon Musk, Trump said, quote, "No, I won't be speaking to him for a while, I guess, but I wish him well," unquote. Dana said the president did not sound angry. He sounded resigned. And here's another breakup hallmark. An official tells CNN that the president plans to get rid of that red Tesla that he purchased from Elon Musk in March. He's going to sell it or maybe even give it away. As for Elon Musk, figuring out where he's at in the process of grief, well, that seems more complicated. Last night, he appeared to be in the bargaining stage. He replied to a random user on his X or Twitter platform who said, "This is a shame, this back and forth. You are both better than this. Cool off and take a step back for a couple days," to which Musk said, "Good advice. Okay, we won't decommission Dragon." That's a reference to his SpaceX Dragon spacecraft that yesterday Musk threatened to take away after Trump threatened to end Musk's lucrative government contracts. Let's go now to CNN's political director and Washington bureau chief, David Chalian. Let's take a step back here, David. The richest man in the world is now claiming it was only with his help, his hundreds of millions of dollars, that Trump was able to win last November. That's a shocking thing for him to say. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but it certainly doesn't say anything good about either the role of money in politics or what Bernie Sanders might call the role of oligarchs.
Right. It seems to suggest, right, that Musk is leaning into his ability to influence and purchase election results here, which, by the way, he has a mixed record on. Now, you are right. He spent north of $290 million in 2024 in support of Trump, the single largest individual contributor on the Republican side of politics. But just more recently, Jake, he spent $23 million to try and win a Supreme Court race in Wisconsin and failed pretty miserably at that. So I guess, yes, it says something about money in politics. What I think is clear from them today is that they both kind of, I would say, step back from the brink, but they already like went over the cliff there or whatever. So I would say clearly neither side.
Okay, for the liberals that have Trump derangement syndrome, I voted for Trump. Newsflash. Okay, now you can cry. All right. Well, fortunately for you, we got buckets for your tears in this chat. We've been streaming since last year, June. We streamed every single campaign, every single rally, every single one. Why do we stream it? Because we actually believe this guy is the answer to the problems that America is facing. But is he going to solve every single problems? Probably not. Probably not, because this has been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. So I voted for Trump. Okay? And I'm going to do it again and again and again. I voted for Trump. It is what it is. I voted for the OG. I mean, what else can you say that is bad about this guy? You've said every single thing. You've tried to put him in jail. You raided his home. They tried to kill him twice. What else? He's racist. He's racist. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you voting for something that you should not vote for. Look at you voting against your interest. Okay. You voted for Joe Biden. Joe Biden put men that looked like me in prison for marijuana, bro. And y'all crying, oh, you voted for Trump. Yeah. And I'm going to vote for Trump again and again. What you going to do? Cry in the comment section. But we got Booski and we got the buckets.
Saw advantage today in actually escalating or keeping up that frenetic pace of attacks that we saw yesterday.
The feud also could be consequential for Trump's legislative agenda, the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, which obviously extends the Trump tax cuts and includes some spending cuts, especially when it comes to Medicaid. It also adds trillions to the national debt, which is what Musk is objecting to, how it doesn't rein in spending enough. What sort of impact might Musk's opposition?
Once again, The GOAT strike. Shout out to Dr. Luke. He says, Genesis helped get Trump elected. I'm so thankful for this channel and many others like it. Shout out to Dr. Luke. God bless you. Thank you. Here we go.
To this legislation have, do you think?
Jake, we don't see any sort of votes moving because of that right now. The impact that it's having right now is it's complicating Mike Johnson and John Thune's, the Republican leaders in the House and the Senate, like their ability to move this smoothly to a landing. But we don't know of anyone that has said, hey, now that Musk is really on board with fighting against how much money is being spent in this bill or how much it adds to deficits and debts, I'm no longer on board with it. We do find some people.
Here's a channel. Here's a channel that gives you the freedom to say what you want. And all you say is bash the host, and you bash the moderators, and you bash people that are just being nice to you. They have literally the button to block you from this channel. And all you do is say bad things about them. You probably would never see a conservative on a liberal channel, because they block every single conservative. But you're here on the conservative channel. You have the right to say what you want. Enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen.
People who are already aligned with that argument using Musk's sort of spotlight right now on the issue as a way to bolster their argument. But I'm not sure it changes the course of where this bill is likely going, Jake.
All right, David Chalian. Thanks so much. Let's bring in our panel now. David Urban, source tells us that President Trump told Vice President Vance to be diplomatic, to speak diplomatically about Elon Musk. Trump seems to be laying uncharacteristically low, almost eerily quiet when you think of the bomb that Musk dropped yesterday on social media saying that Trump is on the Jeffrey Epstein list, which we have no evidence is true. What do you think's going on here? Do you think he just wants to kind of like ignore this and just so he can focus on getting the legislation passed?
Yeah, Jake, I think a couple things. One, I don't think Trump wants to deal with this. You're exactly correct. I think President Trump is focused on getting the big, beautiful bill done. There's lots in there that he campaigned on the border, on tax cuts. So many things are hanging in the balance here. Doesn't want to be distracted by what is this incredible sideshow that has become, that is started with Elon Musk. Jake, you asked David Chalian if Elon was responsible for his victory. I had a little bit to do with some of these races in 16 and 20 and 24. I can tell you only one person wins or loses these races. It's Donald Trump. And if you think money has that big a deal, has that much to do with it, ask why we don't have.
Exactly. People think, well, Elon has deleted all of those tweets on X, but if money actually wins election, why didn't Kamala Harris win the election? She had more money, more campaign money than Donald Trump. So why didn't she win the election? Oh, maybe because she had no substance. Okay.
Have a President Michael Bloomberg who spent $500 million in the primary and won, to Kevin Sheeky's chagrin, I think, one delegate. And so, Musk has a lot of huffing and puffing. I think Trump is focused on getting the bill done. I think that I've talked to a couple of Republican senators this afternoon. I think they're focused on it as well. And they're going to get a bill done. Question is it 4th of July or is it right before August recess in my mind?
Amisha, what do you think?
Well, I think that was a great summation. Nobody in the Senate is moved by what's going on between the Elon Musk and Donald Trump divorce. Donald Trump is taking a page out of his own book, like stay the course, stick to what matters. At the end of the day, he ran on the ideals of what's in this bill. He went out and campaigned on it. He's talked about it. He knocked on doors himself when it came to House members to get them to vote for it. And he doesn't want to see it blow up in smoke. I think that the Elon Musk breakup was something that many of us knew was going to happen, maybe not in this epic fashion, but the president wins nothing by going into that level of a fight with Elon Musk. I think that for him, it is trying to get this by this July 4th deadline, trying to, make sure that the Senate doesn't tear it up more than what he would expect. He knows it's not going to look the same as the one that passed through the House, but he definitely doesn't want it to be dismantled too much. And for Democrats, I think that, they're living high off of the messaging of Elon Musk right now. But again, nobody's votes are essentially changing. Elon Musk being against this bill is the same Elon Musk who was honestly against a lot of the budget to begin with. But we all know that it's because he didn't get the the pet projects that he wanted out of it. This is somebody who is bruised. This is somebody who feels as though he bought his way into the White House, bought his way into a certain level of influence with the most influential and most powerful person in the world. And he's upset that he didn't get his way. This is like taking a toy away from a kid. He's throwing a tantrum, and Donald Trump is reeling himself in by maintaining and pushing forward with what matters to him. And that's making sure that his big, beautiful bill gets passed and that, he's not distracted by what Elon Musk is out here doing.
Amicia, let's turn to a separate subject. Hold on one second, David. The Trump administration is apparently preparing to cancel a huge chunk of federal funding for the state of California, multiple sources tell CNN. One source says a whistleblower told Congress that all research grants to the state of California are going to be canceled. What's your reaction?
This is more Donald Trump's war on intellectualism. This is more his war on colleges and universities. We've seen it with Harvard. We've seen it with Columbia. We've seen it with colleges and universities across the board. This is also a war that he is waging against Gavin Newsom, somebody who he has no real relationship with, someone who he doesn't want to see run in 28, and and a state that he has a very huge problem with. We remember on the campaign trail, he castigated California day in and day out. When it comes to research grants and when it comes to research funding, this president has stood by being anti-science. He has stood by being anti-research. That's something that not only he ran on, but it's something that he presented during his first time in office. This is a continuation of his cancellation of grants through the Department of Education, his dismantling of the Department of Education, and his dismantling of the efforts in putting America first when it comes to science. That's what he really wants to do. And I think that it's very dangerous because when America doesn't fill that void, China will.
David?
Yeah, so I agree with about 90% of what she says. I don't think Trump's anti-science or anti-anything. I think he's anti-woke. He's trying to reshift that. And back to the big, beautiful bill, Jake, just real quickly, Elon Musk hasn't changed one senator. The only person I've heard express that they're going to vote against the bill is actually Rand Paul. Everyone else has, they have reservations. They're holding their cards close to their chest. But there's only one person who's a no vote to date. And so we still have, this bill's still going to pass as it stands. And I like its chances. I just think, again, we're going to be looking towards more of an August timeframe. And Jake, earlier you talked about Medicaid cuts. I'm not really sure that's exactly correct. Medicaid isn't being cut. The growth is just being slowed. So it's increasing 3% versus 5%. Only in the federal government is a 3% increase a cut.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says he was with President Trump yesterday when Trump's dramatic feud with Musk escalated on social media. And in an interview earlier today, the speaker hit back at Musk's criticisms of the Republicans' bill.
It's not personal. It shouldn't be personal. I don't tell my friend Elon I don't argue with him about how to build rockets, and I wish he wouldn't argue with me about how to craft legislation and pass it.
Now, Johnson's comments are notable. He and Republicans have often defended Musk's unprecedented power within the federal government.
I think there's a gross overreaction in the media to what is happening. We don't see this as a threat to Article 1 at all. We see this as an active, engaged, committed executive branch authority doing what the executive branch should do.
I think the American people ought to be saying to Elon, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I love what Elon Musk is doing. He's a genius, probably one of the most brilliant, accomplished, effective human beings ever to walk on planet Earth.
He doesn't have to be doing this. He's the richest guy in the world. He could be on a rocket somewhere. Where is he? He's helping us.
CNN's Arlette Saenz is live on Capitol Hill. Arlette, we have this legislation that's now moved over to the Senate. They have to kind of grapple with what they want to do with it. If they make any changes, it's got to go back to the House. There's still a long way to go, and Republicans are going to have to stay united. What are you hearing as this is all unfolding?
Shout out to the GOAT. Shout out to the GOAT one more time. Shout out to Dr. Luke. It says, Dams, please learn the difference between hostile, vulgar threats and opinions, thoughts, and ideas. Absolutely. You don't have to say all the words that you're saying in the comment section just to get attention that you never get in your mom's basement. I get it. You're getting attention here. I get it. I understand. You never get attention at home. I know. We know that. We know that you're getting attention here. That's why you're here. That's why you never keep scrolling. That's why you never leave. Even if you say you don't like Trump, you don't like conservatives, you don't like us, you rain abuse on us, yet you stay for 4 hours. We've been streaming for almost 3 hours. You've been here forever. You never leave because you're getting attention here. I get it. You get more attention here than you get in your mom's basement. All right. Just enjoy the show.
While that's going on Capitol Hill.
Well, Jessica, Republicans up on Capitol Hill are certainly in a tough position as they are watching this very public feud between President Trump and Elon Musk play out at a very critical time for the future of President Trump's economic agenda here on Capitol Hill. Now, most lawmakers really want to keep their distance from this feud, saying that they hope the two men will work it out. The House leadership, like Mike Johnson, have said that they hope that this could be resolved, and they are arguing that it's not going to have any impact on the president's bill that's making its way up here on Capitol Hill. You even have Majority Leader Steve Scalise saying that the conference is more united than ever, even as this fight is playing out. But there are some conservative lawmakers who have expressed concern that a prolonged fight could cause a distraction. And then there are others who are seizing on Musk's initial opposition that set off to this huge rift when he said that this bill spends too much money. Here is a sample of how Republican lawmakers have been reacting to this over the course of the day.
I hope this gets worked out, but I will tell you right now that people are going to be focused on making sure that we get the agenda that we voted for, and that's President Trump's agenda.
Elon's not wrong that we need to cut more and find better ways to get the balance, and then look, and we're working the president hard to do that, and so I'll let those guys tuss it out.
I think Elon probably did change the trajectory of this bill 2 or 3 days ago when he came out against it, because people trust the guy who can land rockets backwards more with the math than they do the politicians.
Oh, really?
So that really captures the challenging dynamic that Republicans in the House and Senate are facing in this moment as they are still trying to push forward the president's economic agenda here on the Hill, even as this rupture it still continues between President Trump and Elon Musk.
More to come on that. Arlette Saenz on Capitol Hill. Thank you so much.
We have seen already, we've established that President Trump and Elon Musk are breaking up. Congressional Republicans, they are stuck in the middle.
They're happy they're breaking up.
These are two titans.
Look at them.
I respect them both. I'm, of course, a huge fan and supporter of President Trump. I was with him in the Oval Office yesterday afternoon when some of this was unfolding, and he was disappointed. I was disappointed. I just hope it resolves quickly.
We need to go away for a while, right, and just let everybody just settle down, and temperatures will lower, and it's going to be okay.
Two biggest dogs in the pound. They're going to turn on each other eventually.
I have a rule. I never get between a dog and a fire hydrant.
Okay, I'm definitely going to find him and follow up to see who's the dog and who's the fire hydrant here. But the timing is very tough because it's right in the middle of Republicans fighting over the president's big piece of legislation. It's his whole agenda. So the question is, who has the upper hand, and what are the ramifications of that going to be on this important piece of policy for the president and for all Republicans? My panel is back. So, Nia, I was talking to a Republican senator this morning who said his take was that if people are forced to choose over personality between Trump and Elon, which at this moment, that's what people feel like they have to do, they're going to go with Trump. And that there is a chance that the very real concerns that Republicans have with the policy on a host of levels might get overshadowed by the need to support Donald Trump personally.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because do they now just fall in line with Trump in a way to make sure that Trump knows that they are choosing his side? Trump is the father of MAGA. Elon Musk obviously has a foothold. He has this huge platform. He can drive narratives around MAGA and to MAGA. But ultimately, this is Trump's bill. This is Trump's legacy, and the party is likely going to fall in line. I do think Trump is pointing, or Musk is pointing to some some problems with the bill, right? That it explodes spending at a time when he was trying to cut spending. It's not really a MAGA bill in the way that Trump has become this patron saint of the working class. They're very much hurt in this bill. It is a kind of giveaway to the rich. Not that Musk is concerned necessarily with that part of it, but it does go against some of this fundamental idea that there should be cuts.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that sort of goes to the fundamental question that it hasn't yet been answered, which is on economic policy, what is MAGA? MAGA is whatever it is at that moment that President Trump says it is, right?
Right, and I think what's sort of instructive to look at is what happened in the House. So there were many concerns from House Republicans about the spending, about the deficit, about various elements of the bill. This is not surprising. It's a small margin and a diverse range of views within that conference. And at the end of the day, Trump won. He got everyone on board and he got enough support to push that bill through. And I think that is because Trump, as you said, Dana, controls the MAGA movement. What the MAGA movement believes in is what Donald Trump says the MAGA movement believes in. He has that power over the movement. And so I think as you look to the Senate, there are some more intransigent members there. There are some people that are more willing to buck the president. But at the end of the day, Trump has shown time and time again that he gets what he wants, particularly when it comes to Republicans. So I think there's undoubtedly concern within the Republican Senate group about this deficit problem that Elon Musk is raising and railing against over the last week. But I think you don't underestimate Trump when it comes to pushing something across the finish line.
Yeah, and so you have that very real dynamic. You heard that the House Speaker is speaking out about it, trying to get everybody to calm down. The man who's going to be in charge of making the bill actually get through the United States Senate, John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, he's not touching this. He just said, quote, "I don't have observation on that," which is maybe the most South Dakota thing I've heard in a long time.
As a Minnesotan, I can relate.
There you go.
So the interesting thing about this, and again, the question is not are the vast majority of Republicans going to go along with Donald Trump? Of course they are. The problem is the very small margins. An interesting part of this that I think has been lost a little bit is that the big problem on this bill for these fiscal conservatives is that it balloons the national debt, according to the CBO estimates. I think maybe the bigger political problem for Republicans has been something else, though, and that's the Medicaid cuts. And I do think that this conversation has kind of taken us away from that a little bit. I think that's the bigger political liability, but to the extent they're talking about fiscal conservatism, I think Trump can eventually get people over the line because of his force in the party. I think where you start getting into more problematic territory is if the Medicaid cuts start to be a bigger part of this.
Yeah, that's such a good point. On the first point, which is the fiscal conservatives and those who are hardliners, that they don't want to do anything to balloon the deficit. In fact, they argue that from their perspective, our whole job here is to try to fix the deficit, which is one of the things that Elon Musk is saying. Listen to two of the Republicans who have been most sort of dead set on this issue.
I trust the math from the guy that lands rockets backwards over the politicians. I think the patient is on life support, and if the Senate thinks they're going to rehabilitate it and rewrite it, I think they're endangering this patient.
Elon's got, I think, a strong opinion that I think is noteworthy because of his work in DOGE, that we should do more and do better. I can't disagree with that. We should. Congress is notorious for not delivering. I think we should deliver with better spending restraint in order to guarantee lower deficits.
And my memory is that Roy ended up voting with the president.
Yep.
Tom Massey, who was the first person
Never,
he heard. He didn't, and he never will.
Right, he never will. Chip Roy has done the dance around deficits and calling out these bills, and ultimately rolls over. And I think that's probably the expectation. Some of these folks like Ron Johnson, Rand Paul, will see. But, you know.
These guys are so happy that Elon Musk and Trump are currently having a rift. But great men sometimes disagree. It is just what it is. It is just what it is. Ladies and gentlemen,
Ratcliffe, thank you so much for having us here at the CIA. This is incredible to be here with you. And I know that one of the fundamentals that you talked about coming in here was restoring mission clarity. So tell me where you are on that. What does that look like, and how far have you come?
The CIA, as you know, is the finest foreign intelligence agency in the world. That's our history. But we've had leaders fall away from that core mission, us not be as effective as we need to be in what we do in terms of collecting foreign intelligence and stealing secrets and providing President Trump a decisive strategic advantage against our foreign adversaries. That we're not about politics, that we're about collecting intelligence that matters, that makes a difference, that gives him an advantage as he makes decisions, whether it's against adversaries like China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, or dealing with terrorists. Anytime he has engagements with the rest of the world, we want to make sure that he is armed with the best intelligence to make the best decisions to keep Americans safe.
You talked about wanting to eliminate what you call well-documented politicization of this agency. So what did you find that led you to say that, and what have you done to ensure that that's no longer happening?
Well, you know, everyone saw it, Laura. Yeah. It's no secret. So when you had former leaders in the intelligence community use the Steele dossier as part of the official intelligence community assessment of what took place in the 2016 election, and when you had some of those same intelligence leaders then 4 years later say that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation, that it wasn't real. Those were the types of politicization that really tarnish what the intelligence community is supposed to do. We're supposed to be apolitical. And that's what President Trump wants me to be. We're going to be better. We're going to get back to what made the CIA great.
Well, we did see this past weekend this horrific terror attack in Boulder, Colorado. What are you focused on to eliminate terrorism here, both abroad and domestically here in the U.S.?
The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI is responsible for, lone wolf attacks. But the role of the CIA, Laura, is to make sure that we're confronting and countering terrorists over there before they come over here, whether it's Al-Qaeda or ISIS or Al-Shabaab. Every weekend I come in and I brief President Trump on the success that we've had on his behalf. And as you know, he has a history of being successful against terrorists, against ISIS, and against terrorist regimes like Iran. And so, again, this is what we need to get back to, and this is the challenge that he wants me to inspire.
Shout out to the GOAT one more time. God bless you, Dr. Luke. Dr. Luke says, Trump is right. Success is the best retribution. Absolutely. Success is the best retribution. Don't bother arguing with people. Just be great. Just be great. Just work hard. Believe in yourself. Never quit. Just like the 45th and the 47th. He never quits. Even if they try to send him to prison. They said the first convicted felon going into the White House. So what?
The CIA to do here, and we're off to a great start.
So explain where we are with China, with the CCP, and what you guys are doing here at the agency about it.
So, to your point, Laura, when I was DNI for President Trump in his first administration, as you recall, we were accused of outsizing China as a threat. It was a peaceful China, right? And but now after COVID, after the Taiwan aggression, after flying spycraft over the United States for 8 days during the Biden administration, stealing our intellectual property, taking advantage of us on trade, no one's saying that anymore. So the way to counter China is to go on offense. And so we released two Mandarin-speaking videos to the Chinese people, inviting them to contact us through the dark web, because a lot of the people in China are not happy with what's happening, and they can be, great sources of intelligence for us. We'll have more people inside, behind China's Great Wall, and giving us intelligence and information on what's happening with the PRC and its ruling party, the Chinese Communist Party. It's those types of things that we're really focused on when it comes to China, is making sure, again, that we're collecting more and reporting more intelligence for the president to give him his advantage that he needs when he deals with President Xi.
Well, last week, FBI Director Kash Patel flagged that the FBI caught a government-employed IT specialist who was attempting to transmit classified national defense information to a foreign country. I'm sure here at the CIA, you guys have things locked down, but are you on the lookout constantly for things like that to happen?
Fortunately, we have a foreign partner who notified us of that, and that's how Director Patel was able to move quickly and arrest that individual before any damage was done. But we constantly have to be aware of that. Unfortunately, we have people that will, for financial motives or for political motives, release classified information that can help our adversaries. So it's one of the things that across the entire Trump administration we're concerned about, we're focused on, and as you can see, there are a lot more prosecutions and an aggressive approach to it that didn't exist for the last 4 years. And again, President Trump has made this a high priority, so it's something that Director Patel and I talk about a lot.
Well, I think this agency, just to sit here on this seal, I mean, it feels so important and so special. And this is an agency that a lot of people are curious about. We don't hear a lot about it, and I know that's for good reason. But tell me about the personnel. I don't think that the American people hear enough about the people who work here at this building, who work abroad around the world. There is a real personal cost and a personal sacrifice that goes in to working for the CIA.
Well, first of all, to be able to get a job in this place is really, really difficult. So people have to go through an incredible vetting process because, again, we're trusting them with our most sensitive national security information. And these are people, in many cases, that are putting their lives on the line, operating covertly, operating in the darkest corners, in the most difficult, austere environments around the world. They're doing it on government pay, but they're doing it because they love their country. The vast majority of the people who work for the CIA are here because they love their country, they want to serve their country, and in many cases, unfortunately, they sacrifice a lot, including their own lives. You know, our military heroes, when they give their life for our country, there are eulogies and obituaries and stories that talk about the selfless, heroic acts that they took. Here at the CIA, it's a silent sacrifice because people are operating undercover, and in some cases they're doing things where we can't acknowledge that the United States was involved. So think about that. You give your life for your country, and we have, on our memorial wall, we have 140 stars of people that have done exactly that. And in many cases, no one ever knows of the incredible, heroic things that they did on behalf of their country where they lost their life and they can never be celebrated. That really speaks to the kind of person that's willing to work here. It's an incredible privilege to lead an organization like this that has a history where really the only thing that we're able to talk about publicly often are the failures, not the successes. And the successes so far outweigh. I can tell you that if the CIA wasn't here, our adversaries would move quickly against the United States. Oftentimes, we are the first line of defense. We are what's holding back our worst enemies around the world because they know that CIA is on guard and on the watch in almost every country around the world, whether we're welcome there or not.
What is your hope going forward, say 10 years from now, when people look at the CIA, and what legacy do you, Director John Ratcliffe, hope to leave here?
Well, my legacy will be whatever President Trump's legacy is, and so it's to help him be successful. The opportunity that I have, Laura, for all the things that we've just talked about, the immense capabilities of this place and the people that allow this place to accomplish so much, it's my...
All right, one more time, man. I gotta say, shout out to the GOAT, Dr. Luke. Dr. Luke says, we are very experienced with people crashing out over Trump wins. C. Shelley, the Mr. Busky. Jet and I are very familiar with unhinged, rude trolls. Absolutely. I mean, who has time to create multiple YouTube channels just to come here? You get blocked 2, 3, 4 times, and you create another YouTube channel to come right back here. You don't have anything to do. You don't have your life. You don't have kids, family, maybe a spouse or a girlfriend. I don't know. Like, geez.
My job to make sure that we apply that to President Trump's priorities, whatever they may be and however they may change. And what I know is that if we do that, the legacy of President Trump, and therefore my legacy as his CIA director, will be that we'll put more distance between ourselves and our adversaries. We will leave them in our rearview mirror, and we will restore the CIA where everyone says, wow, they do amazing things for this country, and get back to, again, the core mission that we need to keep all Americans safe all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every country in the world, which is what we do. And I think that would be a great legacy.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click. I think the only way you're going to know that is if we can get a whistleblower who comes forward and says, yes, there was serious talk about the 25th Amendment. There were actions taken that Joe Biden didn't know what was going on.
It's totally desperate. News alert to my Republican colleagues. Joe Biden is no longer the president.
The discussions are going extremely well. I fully expect the 4 staffers and I to announce a date.
The investigation into the Biden White House is heating up, with 5 former Biden officials being asked to give interviews on the potential cover-up, or the actual cover-up, of his decline. Hey, everyone, I'm Guy Benson, along with Alicia Acuna and Lydia Hu and Joe Concha. Welcome to a brand new hour of the Big Weekend Show. Well, President Trump has also directed the Attorney General and his White House counsel to investigate the former president, Joe Biden.
Yo, welcome to the live show, Sandra. Sandra is one of our esteemed members on this channel. Also, we have memberships. It is $4.99. Shout out to Sandra Logue. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you for being a member. All right, Sandra, we have been on live for 3 hours and 16 minutes. You are late. You are late, Sandra. How have you been?
His use of an auto pen, specifically looking into executive orders and pardons that were issued. Now, of the 80 pardons Biden issued or signed, only 1 was actually physically signed by him by hand. That, of course, was for his son, Hunter, an infamous pardon. The rest, though, were signed by the auto pen. Now, many in the media look at all this and they say there's nothing to see here. Watch.
Wow. Well, every president does use the auto pen. Yeah. The question is, did Joe Biden know what the auto pen was being used for?
Again, there literally is no suggestion that he didn't. I also don't know if the clouds above me could be purple, because maybe. Right now I'm in a studio. It doesn't mean I want to launch a federal investigation into it. That's the point.
Well, joining us now is Ed Martin, U.S. pardon attorney and weaponization czar. And Ed, you just heard that clip from another network with one of the anchors saying, well, there's absolutely no suggestion that Joe Biden didn't know what was going on with the auto pen. You know, I think that there might be some question around that, as a matter of fact. What do you think?
Well, Guy, thank you. And it's just it's so clear when you look at what happened. It's the conduct that occurred that makes you take a second look. On December 23rd, we had unprecedented commutations of nearly every person on death row. Just before Joe Biden leaves office, we had unprecedented. In the history of America, we had pardons offered back in time for anything anybody ever done for more than a decade. And by the way, in categories, with the auto pen, categories, Fauci, the Select Committee on January 6th, all the areas where there was sort of some need to look perhaps at what went on. So, I've been looking at this for almost 10 weeks because as U.S. Attorney in D.C., I was already looking at the pardons and the question of competence. Now we have the auto pen. And, what we have to get to the bottom of is what were the policies and who was doing them. Now, you mentioned a whistleblower. I had a whistleblower come into my office, someone who very specifically said there were 3 people that he knew of that were dominating access to Biden, and they were using that to have influence over what was going on. That's not illegal, Guy, but it does bring a lot of questions forward when it comes to Jake Tapper. Forget about me or you. Jake Tapper has led us to the point where we're all agreeing that Joe Biden was not competent for a large portion of his the latter part of his presidency.
Exactly.
So we're obligated to get to the bottom of it, and I think we will, and I think people are seeing that is both valid and important, and it will go on now in the future. Ed, it's Alicia Acuna here, and again, thank you for being here. Hi, when Alicia. we get into the realm of the validity of a former president's pardons,
constitutionally, what kind of territory are you in there? Because he's not the only former president who's made controversial pardons.
No, it's very important, and we should be very calm about this and serious. The pardon power is plenary. You can pardon for good reasons, bad reasons. You can even pardon for reasons that look or sound corrupt. That's actually true. Whether you go back to Mark Rich or you go to at the very end of every presidency, there'll be a rush to pardon friends and family and others. That's common. The question here is that now the admission that Joe Biden was not paying attention to large portions of the government, and now you say not so much was the pardon invalid, was the process that allowed a pardon to occur somehow compromised. That's the difference here. If it was just Joe Biden, even auto-penning pardons where he's like, I want to get Fauci off the hook, I'll do it. The pardon power is plenary. The Constitution allows it. But the question now is what was going on in that White House. And, I think it's very compelling when someone says Joe Biden never had the positions that he took, and suddenly for years he was an advocate, for example, of radical open borders. You say to yourself, was that really what he was doing? And now we have a question about the use of the auto pen.
So then when we think about, hi, Ed, this is Lydia Hu. Thank you so much for your time tonight. But following up on that, when we think about the use of the auto pen, then can you give us some specifics about which pardons you are really interrogating here? And then really what the end goal is? Is the goal to really set those pardons aside? And then what would that mean for the people that benefited from those pardons? I mean, Dr. Fauci, the Biden family, who, and then what could happen?
One of the things that Attorney General Bondi has been really good at, and it's hard for people to track all this that happens. She got in office and she was the one that created the weaponization working group that is sort of a lot of us are working under. And part of it is just to get the truth out, just so we can know what happened. And so to your point, what is at the end of this? We have to get the facts out now. We have to see who was in charge. One of the requests that went from the White House counsel's office to the National Archives is the paper trail of how the auto pen is used. Every White House has an auto pen, and then there's a paper trail of who's authorized, how it's used. That's been requested from the National Archives. So we have to follow the facts and see where they lead. It's too early to say that these are invalid pardons or that there was fraud or corruption, but there's certainly the coming together of unprecedented conduct, meaning pardons that are unprecedented in the history. This isn't like Mark Rich and somebody that was a donor. What happened at the end of Biden, the family and Fauci and everybody, the scope of that has never been done. And then also on I mentioned December 23rd, that was an extraordinary shift in policy, basically by the president. So those two areas, for example, are ones that are so unprecedented, you start to take a look. But we have to follow the facts and then look at what's going on. We may just simply be saying this was a mess, but it's a mess that's allowed, or we may be saying there's something more significant here, and let's get to the bottom of it.
Hey, Ed, unfortunately, we have about 30 seconds, but do you see this trail that you talk about following the facts eventually going to Capitol Hill, where we have congressional hearings and we see Dr. Jill Biden, Hunter Biden, Ron Klain, Anita Dunn, Susan Rice, and everybody that was around the president, whether it be Tony Blinken or Jake Sullivan? Can you see them testifying on Capitol Hill and really being held accountable for what was, in many people's opinions, one of the greatest scandals in presidential history?
Yeah, certainly I would like to. Let me be careful how I do this, but I work in the executive branch. I see that our guys and gals are getting the paper trail, and we're doing interviews ourselves, and we've got whistleblowers. Some of it is public, some of it is not. So I hope that's what we see, but I have to say we also need to see the accountability underneath that, not just a hearing or two, because they're going to lawyer up. And some of these people, by the way, should be offered immunity or granted immunity so we can get the truth out of them and bring them forward and say, tell your story. So I think that will happen in Congress. I think it also will happen with Attorney General Bondi and the White House counsel now driving this agenda and this investigation that I'm involved in.
Ed Martin live for us tonight. Ed, thank you.
A lot of people are saying that these pardons should not stand. Preemptive pardons are unconstitutional. So, is this going to go or stand the test of time? I mean, who knows? But it's most likely those pardons will stand. And some people are saying auto pens should be banned. I don't know if that's going to stand because auto pens are actually important for any presidency, because there's no way you can sign hundreds of documents. It's almost impossible. But, you know, your signature should carry some weight because you are the commander in chief. You are the leader of the free world. Whatever you sign, you should know that you're signing it, even if it's the auto pen. You should know, okay, I know what's in there. You can go ahead and use the auto pen. But if you don't know what's in there and some aides just says, oh, the president says it's good to go, and you use the auto pen, yeah, that's like illegal actually. All right, what is going on in Los Angeles, California? Los Angeles, California. Do we have anybody in Los Angeles right here? ICE is being attacked because they are literally doing their job. Incredible.
It's very possible that they could be, and there's some sort of smoke grenade that's been placed inside of that vehicle. Something is smoking. That's dark smoke inside that vehicle. So we very well may be seeing the start of a vehicle fire, and it looks like we are. This thing is lighting up, and that's pretty much, police are going to have, presumably, fire crews are going to have to presumably move in and take control of this situation as it gets even more dangerous. Again, this is the intersection of Alondra Boulevard and Atlantic Avenue in Compton, California. Dale's Donuts.
Guess what? When you talk to a Democrat, it's a peaceful protest. This is a peaceful protest, right? Liberals in the chat, this is a peaceful protest, right? Just like in 2020, we're peacefully protesting. This is a peaceful protest right here, according to liberals.
Is that big donut on your screen. And this vehicle fire, this fire is taking off. Again, we're seeing this in real time, and we have no idea how this started, why this started. Time will tell. Let's put the 2-box back up so that we can hear some audio from the ground. I'm not sure how close our ground crews are to the fire. You can see it in the distance there. A bizarre situation.
What do you have to gain from burning down a car? Tell me what you have to gain. What do you have to gain from destroying properties? You're burning a car by an electric pole. What are you thinking about? California is a hot state. You guys have wildfires and you're burning a car? What is your motive? What are you trying to gain by burning a car? I don't get it, man. Liberals.
Situation playing out in Southern California today. I'm gonna sit on this for a moment. Let's bump up the audio.
Peaceful protest. It's a peaceful protest, ladies and gentlemen. Peaceful protest. Yeah. Very peaceful. Absolutely peaceful.
Here on Live Now, we work with live feeds, and that's what we've been relying on this entire afternoon as we've watched this protest continue. Sometimes it looks like things are calming down, and then a new situation pops up, and we just lost feed with the ground there. We lost contact with our feed on the ground there.
What is this one doing? What are you doing?
Some of these people on bikes circling around this vehicle fire in Compton, California. Just over the 710 freeway is the scene that we've been watching for much of the day in Paramount, California, the Home Depot, where, by the way, we haven't checked in on that vantage point in a while. This is what that vantage point looks like now, over by the Home Depot. You can see some of the smoke from the vehicle fire in the distance. Again, this is over the bridge, over the 710 freeway on-ramp. Back to our aerial feed, where we see a lone white sedan engulfed in flames in the middle of a busy intersection in Compton. Traffic has ceased now. We were seeing a scary situation playing out for a moment there, where we were watching some of the protesters and some of the vehicle traffic moving through that intersection. Now it appears, with the car fire going, people are steering clear of the intersection. I do not have direct contact with the people on board the news chopper, but it seems that they're, at least for now, slowly drifting away from the action. Let's go to our ground vantage point near the Home Depot, where deputies still remain. We hear angry protesters nearby on this vantage point. We've got a second ground vantage point. I believe this is a little bit closer to the Home Depot as well. They're back over the vehicle fire now. Let's go back to that. And so when it's safe, presumably, we'll see emergency crews put this fire out. We see loads of law enforcement down the road, maintaining a barrier so that these protesters can't get any closer to the 710 freeway. These officers were staged on Alondra Boulevard. You see some of those photojournalists documenting, and you see some of the officers with the riot gear. I believe these are LA Sheriff's deputies. All day we've been seeing what presumably could be fireworks. Some sort of blast we saw. It appeared some of the protesters were throwing something at officers. Time will tell what exactly was being thrown at officers, what those blasts were that we were seeing. And now we see a little bit more activity getting back into the streets here, as we see at least a momentary moment of celebration from some of these protesters. Again, we've been seeing the Mexican flag and some of these people looky-loos, some of them taking photos in front of the car, now posing for a...
Think about it. You love your country so much, but you came into the United States to get a better life.
In front
and this is what you do.
Of the car.
This is what you do. You have your flag burning a car in the United States on American soil. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Now posing for a picture with the Mexican flag in front of the burning car. We continue to see the motorists riding around in circles. Police are not in this immediate vicinity. They are down Alondra Boulevard, just east. All the police are just east of where this scene is. A lot of the protesters have been moved away from the 710 freeway, and now many of them have converged at the intersection of Alondra and Atlantic. Anybody in the area is advised, obviously, to stay away. I'm watching for any sign that police may move in to quell this group of protesters. We do have a second vantage point of some officers with guns drawn. Let's pull this up. I think they might be talking to protesters by the Home Depot.
Soy Deputy Hernández, oficial del Departamento de Guardia del Condado de Los Ángeles. La presente declaro que esta ha sido una reunión ilegal. En el nombre del pueblo del Estado de California, ordeno a todas las personas reunidos en el Home Depot y Alondra, que abandonen el área inmediatamente. Abandonen el área inmediatamente. Lo que significa disolver esta reunión y abandonar el área. Si no lo hacen, pueden ser arrestados. También puede estar sujeto a otras acciones policiales, incluyendo el uso de proyectiles de energía cinética y agentes químicos. El uso de estos dispositivos puede provocar lesiones graves. Abandone el área inmediatamente. La sección 409 del Código Penal prohíbe permanecer presente en esta reunión ilegal, lo que significa que deben abandonar el área que acabo de describir. Si permanecen en el área que se acaba de describir, estará violando la sección 409 del Código Penal. La siguiente ruta de dispersación está disponible. East San Alondra, a Hunsaker, a la calle Hunsaker, y haga una derecha. Abandone el área inmediatamente. Todas las personas que están en Alondra y Home Depot, abandonen el área inmediatamente. Todas las personas que queden aquí están en violación del Código Penal 409 y pueden ser arrestados. Abandonen el área inmediatamente.
I'm with the news. I'm with the press. Give me a favor.
Deputy Hernandez, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And hereby, assembly has been declared unlawful.
You don't want to get caught up in it. No, I know. I do not. Definitely not.
In the name of the people of the state of California, all those assembled, Alondra and Home Depot, are ordered to disperse. Which means we need to break up this area and leave the area immediately. If you remain in the area described, you will be in violation of Penal Code Section 409. You need to leave the area now. Leave the area now. Leave the area now. You may also be subject to other police action, including the use of kinetic energy projectiles and chemical agents, which include rubber bullets, plastic bullets, beanbag rounds, foam tip plastic rounds, tear gas, pepper balls, pepper spray, and the use of these devices could result in serious injury.
Before he called the White House home.
All right, with that being said, thank you for being here. God bless you. We have been streaming for 3 hours, 39 minutes. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams. And believe in Almighty God. All right, I want to say a big shout out to our esteemed member. Shout out to the GOAT, Dr. Luke. God bless you. You are a blessing, have been a blessing, and continue to be a blessing. God bless you. Really appreciate you. Shout out to Sandra. God bless you for tuning in. Shout out to Ellie. Shout out to Ringmaster. God bless you guys. And of course, our awesome, hardworking, I can say that again, hardworking moderators, the amazing C. Shelley, the bucket master, Mr. Booski. God bless you guys for tuning in. And everybody, liberals, conservative, doesn't matter. What matters is we don't want riots like that on American soil. For what? Like, just for what? We don't want that. Shout out to Jets as well. Shout out to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Fathers, take care of your kids, all right? I know it's hard. You got to pay bills. But fathers, try as much as you can to take care of your kids. Also, life is hard, okay? Sometimes you don't want to keep going. You want to quit, but never, ever quit, okay? Just like the commander-in-chief, his home was raided. He was almost sent to prison. His life was almost cut short. Ladies and gentlemen. But guess what? He is the 47th president of the United States. If he had stopped, he would never be the 47th president of the United States. So use that as a motivation for yourself, for your family, for your kids, for your businesses, for your jobs. All right. If you have a dream, never, ever give up. Keep going. No matter how hard it is, just keep going. You never know. You never know. And this is for the liberals and conservatives. Okay. This is in politics. This is not politics. This is real life. Okay. Life is hard. I get it. Most times we want to quit and just let it go. Nah. Keep going. Keep fighting. Keep believing in yourself and the goal that God has put in your heart. That dream that God has put in your heart, keep fighting for it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 6:48 a.m. and today is Sunday, the 8th of June, 2025. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. Also, I want to say a big shout out to the veterans and the military personnel. Thank you for protecting the homeland. Shout out to the law enforcement officers. God bless you. And with that being said, it is your boy Genesis. God bless you. God bless the United States. And I am signing out.